You're listening to the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
AFL. On ABC Radio.
On digital. And on the ABC Listener.
Look for the AFL button.
Either Geelong or the Gold Coast Suns will be inside the top four as we move past the halfway mark of the AFL season, but there is some big team news as the rain arrives in Geelong. Bailey Smith is out for the Cats with calf tightness, and Ted Closey comes in as Patrick Dangerfield makes his return, while for the Suns forward Ethan Reid is also a late out. So Sean Lemons comes in to replace him, and the subs will be Mitch Duncan alongside Ben Ainsworth this afternoon. Hello, welcome to ABC Sport as our coverage of the 2025 AFL season continues. It's Geelong taking on the Gold Coast Suns. Matt Clinch with you for ABC Sport. Lauren Borton is alongside me. Welcome to you, Loz, to a cold and windy Cardinia Park.
It is, isn't it? You don't get much of a view going out past that hickey stand like you often do when it's a clear day. The rain's already set in, but it's exciting to be here. I think this one today is for the Gold Coast Suns and what they can produce in an away game. They've won 4 of their 6 away games, but all those sides have been in the bottom half of the ladder. So this is the one now. If they want to show what they can do on the road, it all comes down to trying to beat Geelong for the first time ever at Cardinia.
And we're in good company this afternoon. The coaching games record holder Mick Moldhouse is with you on a Saturday afternoon. Welcome to you, Mick. Lovely to see you in Geelong.
It's a pleasure to be down here, particularly watching these two teams. Geelong are very, very good here, but I have managed to see several sides knock them over, and the principle behind that has basically been keeping the 6 backs in order so that Geelong can't get that run out of the back line, so they have to virtually defend every ball. So the first test I'd love to see is I'm looking at Damon Hardwick to see whether he keeps his front 6 in order. So that's just one challenge. There's others, but no Smith. And if you look through the stats, you'll find that the clearance rate of the top 3 for Gold Coast, Anderson, Rowell and Miller, are exceptional. So that'll test the Geelong football side.
It's a good indication from Mick Moldhouse as to what to keep an eye out for early. The Cats are 8 wins and 4 losses. The Suns are 8 wins and 3 losses. Of course, their opening round game against the Bombers had to be rescheduled, so they have played 1 less match. The 3-time All-Australian in the AFLW, she's no longer the Carlton captain. Karen Peterson hands over that baton to Abby Mackay. Welcome to you, Kez. Great to see you, and this is your last game for us, so congratulations on what's to come.
G'day Clinchy, g'day Loz and Mick, it's great to be here. Yes, bigger things to come for the rest of the year, but I'm excited to see this game. Mick's already touched on it, but these teams are quite statistically very similar the way they're going about it, which is it's a proper indication of why we're watching 4th versus 5th. The way that the two teams play, though, is very, very different, and I just wondered today whether the rain is going to have a huge impact on the way that both teams play. And Mick's already mentioned the midfield battle. It's going to be really intriguing. Ball's going to spend a lot of time on the ground today, but really looking forward to this one.
Of course, Harry Mackay is a laid out for tomorrow. It's Abby Mackay who you're handing over the baton to, but you are expecting your first child with Joel, so good luck to you, and this is your last game for us.
Yeah, thank you. It's going to be busy second half of the year, I think.
Certainly will. So no Bailey Smith, Kez and Mick. How much of an impact will that have for Geelong? And I guess we were trying to look as to who might be the player that O'Shea Mullen for Geelong looks to line up, and traditionally it has been either Matt Rowell or Noah Anderson.
Well, there's no doubt Smith would be firming as a Brownlow favourite, depending on how the umpires see him. There's things about being humble and there's things about being leery and that sort of stuff, and if the umpires just look through that and look at the numbers, then he and Dacos, to me, are probably standouts as far as umpire catching. So therefore, when you look at Geelong, they've been a different side with him. He's a very good outside player, but he does tackle and he does get in close. So he's a player that they will miss. I'm just wondering whether that'll force them to play Dangerfield in the middle from time to time. I don't know whether he's even starting there. If he does, he might go forward. But primarily coming off an injury like that, I think they'll try to protect him. So yes, there's one of the boys that's got to be tagged. There's no doubt Miller is in and out. Anderson's probably as good in form as anyone, and then you've got Rowell, who's just a machine. So I think the easier target, if there's an easy target, has got to be Rowell, because he's going to be hunting the football from the word go.
It looks like Mark O'Connor might have headed straight to Noah Anderson. What about for you, Kez?
Well, I'm just watching Dangerfield go line up at half forward, so not overly surprising. I do agree, though, he's probably going to play through the middle of the ground. He's exceptional below his knees, and in these sort of conditions, I think he'll have a big impact in the middle of the ground if they roll him through there today.
A September shaper in round 12 of the AFL as the Gold Coast Suns look to claim their first victory here against the Cats. Here's Lauren Borden.
Stanley with the big tap out across to O'Connor, who can grab it and stick the ball right inside 50 for the Cats. One-handed, Dangerfield goes, can't take the mark. It's picked up by Closey of the Suns. Handball out to left half back. The Suns are in their pink jumper today, the away jersey they have. Fiorini tried to kick it away. Witts went in, takes the ball, and he's happy to slide out of bounds for a boundary throwing just forward of centre wing for the Cats. So it'll be throwing under dark skies here in Geelong. The rain has already started. A lot of ponchos around the stadium as it looks to have set in for the day. As Stanley taps it away. Manna tries to grab it, can pick it up as it gets a hand pass away to Stanley. As he's being tackled, gets a kick away. Might be touched over the line. So it'll be a throw in again, same position. So ball not moving much as these two sides face off. The Gold Coast have never won against Geelong at Cardinia Park. The Cats have won their last 7 meetings here, stemming back to when the Suns came into the competition back in 2011. Stanley and Witts go at it. It's Witts this time, front position, can tap it out right to the interchange gates where it goes out of bounds. And we'll have a throw-in this time in front of the two benches. No score early stages of this match.
Opening minute, we've had just the 5 disposals. The final member of our team sitting in the front row is Lex Pesher this afternoon. Lex, has the rain arrived?
It certainly has arrived. It's not very as cold as I thought it was, but the rain is here, and I don't think it's going anywhere in a hurry.
All right, look forward to your contributions throughout the afternoon. Witts in front of Stanley, wins down the tap. Rao was on the move, but he's locked up by Tom Atkins. And the umpire will ball it up below our commentary position here. Opening 90 seconds of this match, no score between the Cats and the Suns. It's volleyed forward by Reece Stanley, straight to the boundary line. Umpire says insufficient intent.
Well, that's what they're paying these days. You must clean the rule up by going from 50 to 50. Last to kick it out, it's a free kick.
Sort of feel like we'd had 3 or 4 stoppages in a row. The umpire might just be relieved to get it out of there. Fiorini kicks up towards Witts and Ben King at half forward. Neither can take the mark. Toot Miller tries to shove off his opponent. Squeeze the kick out to Witts at left half forward. Hand pass to Noble. Cuts past a couple. Releases Rao with a hand pass on his left boot. Inside 50 in the direction of King. Nudged underneath it by Jack Henry. And Stewart mops it up for Geelong. A searching hand pass for Max Holmes at right half back. He gets a hand pass forward to Atkins. Feeds it away to Myers, and now the run of Max Holmes, who looks up to Cameron one-on-one. He's in a wrestle with Mac Andrew. It gets to the back, and a free kick for a hold. It's going the young Gold Coast Suns defenders' way. So an early win there against the man on top of the Coleman medal race.
Yeah, good, very good contest that'll be, but also the speed he's got, Max. So you've got a player who can match him with speed, match him with agility, and Cameron just tried to throw him away from the contest.
Power with the footy at right half back, flat kick to centre wing. No mark could be taken by Humphrey. It'll spill out off O'Sullivan's shin over to Dempsey. Hand passes it across to Guthrie, and now it's in the hands of the Cats. He kicks the ball to left half forward. Collins is standing there, slides and takes the mark and holds on to it at right half back this time for the Suns. So he's in front of the scoreboard, outer side of the ground at Cardinia Park, loads up on the kick and gets plenty of distance on it. We'll pop it up to a pack where Witts was in the middle of it. O'Sullivan at front position, brings the ball down, and then Humphrey goes on after it, does the tackling on Atkins. The ball comes out to Guthrie, and he's brought to the turf by Closey. That's Sam Closey playing for the Suns, his brother Ted Closey coming into the side for Geelong. So both playing for the Cats today, and both Geelong boys as well.
I reckon Atkins has taken Rao.
Rao, one to keep it on as Witts tries to knock it down to Rao, loses possession. Dempsey with a hand pass over his shoulder, got it to Sean Manor. His kick is chopped off though. Might be a free kick going the Suns' way for a hold. They'll take it centre wing under the Hickey stand, going the way of Matt Rao.
I just think they're two bulls, and it's a good matchup, but how many players can you actually tag through the middle? So it'll be interesting to see what they do, the Cats.
The coaching icon Mick Moldhouse with you for Saturday Footy on ABC Sport as Rao kicks up towards half forward. It's brought down by Walter and Witts in front position, gathered by O'Sullivan for the Cats. A tumbling ball up towards Dangerfield, who had it spoiled away from him by Collins as Atkins tries to gather it. Tight against the boundaries, tackled and taken across. Free kick going the way of the Gold Coast Suns, and going to be taken at half back.
So no score yet from either of these sides. 4 minutes played in the opening term on ABC Sport as the ball's worked across to the broadcast side of the ground. Powell will take a bounce right at centre wing, and it'll be an entry 30 metres out from the Suns' goal. Stanley comes over the top and punches it away. Picked up by O'Connor, or Mullen rather, who can't pick it up cleanly. De Koning has a go. Guthrie's in there as well, can't pick it up. Ball spills out. Guthrie's at the front of the pack. He can grab it quickly, get a hand pass away to O'Sullivan. Hand passes back to De Koning, who releases it to Guthrie, and he'll clear the kick outside of defensive 50, but it'll be coming right back the same way with Sam Closey taking an intercept mark for the Suns.
Yeah, beautiful setup by the Suns. They put pressure on and they had players outside the front 50.
So another inside 50 for the Gold Coast Suns as Ben King presents. Can't take the mark. Long front and centre. Gets the hand pass away. Flanders dodging and weaving. Cuts back on his left. Kicks it to the teeth of goal and Stewart rises. Takes the mark on the last line of defence. He chips it out to O'Connor. Had to wear the late contact from Powell, but he marks in the right back pocket. Hand pass away to Max Holmes. Off balance, he kicks up towards Blitzavs. He keeps it in front of himself. Hand pass to Stengel, who chips it up along the boundary line to Close. As Jeremy Cameron have pushed all the way down from half forward. Now Close will try and put it over his head as he and McAndrew lead the foot race. Collins comes back and ricochets it out of play for a boundary throw in. So the two key defenders of the Suns combining there as Jeremy Cameron sees the ball go out of play, and he's just putting his hands on his knees as he's up against the signage at right half forward. No score through 5 minutes. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
It's the third time we've seen Collins come off his direct opponent to effect a spoil inside Geelong's forward 50.
So Witt's two-handed, pushes it away towards Fiorini, who can gather it, but he's on his hands and knees, can't take it cleanly. Atkins there, hand pass to Cameron, tries to kick over the top of his head, doesn't connect with it. In comes Rowell, he's taken to the turf and pulled in.
No way, no.
And is that holding the footy?
And that is just probably as bad as you get. Home ground decision.
If anything, I thought Rowell might have been taken slightly high in the end.
Well, he ducked his head, but that's only because he was already bent in that position, and you get cannoned into. How's he going to get rid of the football? That is... Well, I know we have a crack at umpires, but that's a shock. that is a real shocker.
So can the first goal come from a free kick? It's Tom Atkins, 45-degree angle, 30 metres out, starts it right, pulls it back for the opener. The home side has one on the board. It's the first score for today. Geelong, 1 straight 6, leading the Suns. Yet to score. It's nearly 7 minutes played in the first term. Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Yeah, I agree, Mick. I think he was punished because he ducked his head into that tackle. It's a very, very hard tag. Atkins playing on Rowell at the moment. Looks like Anderson is just floating around on the outside of the contest like he normally does. He was lined up on Dempsey on the opposite wing to the broadcast side here, but they're letting him play through once the play gets going, but it's certainly a very hard tag with Rowell and Atkins. And first blood. First blood, there you go. Thanks, Mick, for helping. First blood goes to Atkins for today.
Yeah.
With some help.
Well, if you kick a goal as you're a tagger, that's a very good plus.
Leading disposal getter early on the ground with 6, Tom Atkins, and now a goal as the umpire goes down. Free kick going the way of the Gold Coast Suns, and Matt Rowell will take it in the middle of Cardinia Park. Matt Lynch and Lauren Borden, Lex Pesce down the boundary. Mick Moldhouse and Kez Peterson with you on ABC Sport. Jeffrey kicks the Suns inside 50. Ben King flew, can't take the mark. Humphrey stripped of it, ball spills clear. Driving in, O'Connor tries to knock it out, but a hand pass comes out to Holman. He's stripped of it. Sam De Koning trying to get it forward. It's knocked on by Long into the right forward pocket for the Suns. Jack Henry's hand pass to Humphreys goes out of play, where the fans are in ponchos on the Joel Selwood stand at ground level. The rain is set to tumble this afternoon. It's the Cats who lead by 6 points.
Jack Martin on for his first run as a Cat. First game for the year, first game for the new club.
So the former Sun, of course, and Blue as well, now at his third club. Had quite a few injury concerns too. So he's on now in his debut for the Cats as a free kick will come out of the throw-in. It'll be going the way of Geelong. And it's Shannon Neal with the footy, who's pushed back to help his side. Hand pass to Martin, who gets his first touch in the hoops of the Cats. Hand pass to Holmes, hand pass back to Martin, close against the boundary line. Hickey side of Cardinia Park, long kick down the wing, and it's Collins that stands up easily, the tallest, and puts his hands up to take the intercepting mark. The Suns played in these conditions last week when they lost to Fremantle by 11 points. Backing them again this week as the kick is punched away at centre-half back towards Myers. He puts it out wide, looking for Dempsey, who tries to keep it in close to the line. It bounces. The bounce doesn't favour him in the end. It bounces over. And we'll have a throw-in centre wing outer side of the ground. The Cats leading by 1 straight kick. It's 9 minutes played in this first term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
It's interesting. We're seeing Geelong do something different than what we normally do. The long down the line kick. They've had probably 3 or 4 to start that have all resulted in turnovers. Up until this point, they've been the lowest percentage of long down the line kicks in the competition this season.
Kieran Peterson with you on ABC Sport. Witt's in front position against Neal. Palms it down, looking for Rowell. His attack on the man might have been a little high. Umpire says it was, and Ted Closey will take the free kick for Geelong. Playing against his brother Sam this afternoon under the Hickey stand wing. He veers out to the right, drives the Cats inside 50 in the direction of Jeremy Cameron and also Neil, but Collins takes the mark. Stood his ground in front and an impressive contested mark from the reliable Suns defender. Looks out towards half-back, kicks in the direction of Walter. Shoved underneath it, O'Connor did it legally. As O'Sullivan kicks inside 50 and Dangerfield can't take the mark, going back with one arm. Palms it down to Cameron, who's bumped into by Lemons. Spills to Myers, centering ball, finds Blitzavs.
Yeah, good kick, really smart kick.
Who is looking to give it off, and Humphreys squeezed it in. Goal umpire had to dash a long way to the right, but Geelong have their second goal. The Cats are 2 straight 12 to the Gold Coast Suns yet to score. Unselfish and Mark Blitzavs to give it off to Lawson Humphreys, and the Cats get the jump. 10 minutes gone, opening term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport with Kes Peterson and Mick Malthouse.
Well, it was a beautiful kick for a start-off across the face of goal to find the open space. Geelong do that very, very well. They hold their width. It's only narrow ground, but if you can hold your width on this side, where Blitzavs was able to run into an open space, but more intriguing to me was that Humphreys was able to run past him inside the front 50 as a half-back and just knock it straight over. He had no opposition whatsoever, so this would be a training run for him. And again, I'll just emphasise, if you want to take your sixth player away from that forward line, you open up for a running back, whether it be Stewart, whether it be Humphreys in this case.
So Jack Martin makes his way to the centre bounce and he gets a touch. He can't pick it up cleanly to try and get it away. He'll go in after the ball again as it just bobbles its way around in the wet weather. It's Tuke Miller who can pick it up for the Suns and put it out to right half forward. It's wide. Humphreys is chasing after it. He's got Holman close behind him, and in the end it'll go out of bounds for a boundary throw in just at half forward for the Suns.
Matchup we haven't yet spoken about is Sam De Koning lining up at full-back against a King, so that's going to be a really interesting matchup in these conditions, but two young guns going at it head-to-head.
To have Ben King and Cameron down the other end, so hopefully, I know it is wet weather, but we might be able to see something from them today as Sam Closey takes the footy, hand passes it to Miller, kicks as he's falling, spiralling the kick inside 50. Here's Martin, who just sits back and takes the intercepting mark for the Cats and kicks across to Stewart, who's got it deep in defence for the Cats, flares it out wide to Myers, who can mark it right half back.
He plays on with Geelong leading by 2 goals into the middle of the ground for O'Connor, had to wear the late contact from David Swallow, gets the hand pass away to Jack Martin, gets it forward to Manor, looks up inside 50, pulls his kick, looking for Close, that's a superb pass. All eyes went to Jeremy Cameron and to Shannon Neal. At the last moment he pulled his kick out to left half forward and Brad Close takes the mark.
That's what I mean about holding your width. Close held his width, didn't join in, jump back. You could see the Geelong player for football, for all intents and purposes, was going towards goal. Close just held his width, his player fell off him, and as a consequence, this is an easy shot for goal.
9 goals for Brad Close for the season, but he's number 10 in the AFL for goal assists, so out to the left, looking for the Cats third, he comes in and gets underneath it, it's right to the goal line, it might not have got there, and Bodie Ullin in the end rushes it through for a minor score. Geelong 2-1-13 to the Gold Coast Suns yet to score. Earlier it was Sydney who defeated the Tigers by 44 points at the MCG.
That seemed to hold up. I just wonder what it's like on the ground level. Is that
Yeah, let's check in with Lex down on the boundary. What are you feeling about the wind down there, Lex?
It's actually pretty calm at the moment. If anything, it's slightly going to the right. I think that's correct. I'm not the weather reporter, but I think that's correct. It's not bad at the moment, though.
So towards the end where Geelong are kicking as they go inside 50, it's Ullin who sits back and takes the intercept mark again for the Suns. Flares it out towards Sam Closey, who marks still in defensive 50 for Gold Coast. He kicks it out across to right half forward to Flanders, who can take it, hand pass it to Miller. He puts a flat kick forward, and it's a good kick in the end because he can find Swallow. A few kicks from home still for the Suns. He looks to hand pass right. Myers called for it, then he realised it wasn't his teammate. Kicks inside 50. De Koning slaps it away into the hands of Holman, who'll try and get rid of it. He's taken to the turf, though. It's a good tackle, and he's brought down by Ted Closey for a ball up 35 metres out from the Gold Coast goal. Still yet to score, Geelong leading by 13.
Thrown up Stanley and Mac Andrews. Andrews gets it down to Long, who kicks towards the goal mouth, getting back. Sam De Koning rushes it through. Peeled off Ben King and sees it through for a minor score. Suns' first score coming at the 14-minute marker behind. Geelong 2-1-13. Mac Lynch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Lex Pesce down on the boundary. Mick Malthouse and Kes Peterson with you.
That's too easy, far too easy. Geelong have really controlled the game, doing what they want, especially with the kick-off just there. Ball's now nearly to the wing without being touched by Gold Coast.
Stewart to Martin to Manor, who kicks it towards Cameron, very close to the boundary. Good hand pass from Dempsey to Cameron to keep it in. He has to kick it quickly inside 50. Andrews at the back, just got enough to tap it away to Lemons. He's brought down to the ground by Stanley. The umpire says mine, I'll ball it up.
You'd love to see that as a Geelong fan and as a Geelong player. Your big ruckman doing the dirty work inside the forward 50. Fantastic work.
So a ball up very close to goal for the Cats. Stanley against McAndrew, tapped away close, has it. He's wrapped up in a tackle by Lemons, and he'll be held up, and we'll have another stoppage inside forward 50.
So one of your early indications, Mick, was the 6 forwards, 6 defenders.
Yeah.
Or the
Cats have got their loose player so easily. And they've run the ball out so many times already.
Stanley slaps it towards the goal mouth where John Noble has to wear the tackles and he can't break clear. So Mark O'Connor locks him up. So Jack Henry is the loose for Geelong at the moment.
Yeah, they're just working it around. They just work the best player. If someone goes to Stewart, Henry becomes that player.
Andrew and Stanley as it spoils down. Jeremy Cameron tackled and brought down by John Noble, and the umpire will ball it up. Right forward pocket for Geelong. They're 2-1-13 to the Suns at 1 behind. At the players stand end of Cardinia Park. And the rain is meant to tumble down throughout the match. Cameron trying to put a block on as the midfielders are all swooping around. The tap came down to Noble. No way for him to break through it. Shannon Neal lays the tackle. Lex Pescier on the boundary.
Interesting one to watch today. Patrick Dangerfield obviously has come back from that hamstring injury. He's had a lot of work done. I imagine he would be fine, but he's grabbed the Theragun now. So see if the weather plays a part in how long he's actually out there and see if they can get ahead enough to maybe pull him off early.
Atkins got the clearance away, hand pass it towards Noble, was taken down and tackled, comes out the back to Stanley, tried to hand pass it to Cameron, didn't get to him. Atkins is still in there, weaving around some Gold Coast traffic. Ted Closey had a go and it just was punched through, or it hit the right behind post in the end with McAndrew affecting the kick. So it'll be a ball in right next to that right behind post.
Who's doing the ruck work down there for Geelong?
So it's Stanley down there against McAndrew, the 2 number 1s.
Who's picking up Cameron?
Lining up in the ruck as Stanley taps it behind him, clever towards Manor. If he can pick it up cleanly, a second go, a third. He can't get it. He's tackled in the end and he's held in there 35 metres out from goal for a ball up.
So it's a good pick-up mix. So Bodie Hewlin is going to Jeremy Cameron because McAndrew is doing the ruck work.
Which is really amazing. The matchup's just interesting.
But there's a lot off the ball because O'Shea Mullen is alongside Anderson. They're all trying to block to make space. McAndrew got down the tap to Dan Rioli, couldn't clear it with a kick. Spills out the way of Ted Closey outside the boot to the goal square. But Sam Collins getting back. Hugs the mark to his chest at the top of the defensive goal square for the Suns. They trail by 12 points. 2-1-13 Geelong to the Suns 1 behind. Collins with a long kick out towards Ben King at half-back. He rises to Koning, spoils it down. Running onto it, it's Toot Miller. His hand pass too sharp for a stationary Noah Anderson. It goes out of play for a throw-in.
Mick, we were talking at the start of the game about who they might tag. Anderson is yet to touch the football in the first quarter, so probably a good decision going to Rowell. What's he up to? He's up to 4 or 5 touches already.
I don't think that's going to be the bearing. The bearing is going to be that Geelong have got an extra 2 behind the ball, and that's impregnable on this ground. It's so narrow. You can't. It's not as if you can go running around the Sahara Desert and get outside the flanks and that. You are stuck in the corridor. Geelong have got 2. It's quite bizarre.
Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Ball is thrown up in the end. It's Wicks that goes after it. In comes O'Connor to grab it. Hand pass it away towards Dempsey. A free kick will be found, or the umpire has found a free kick going the way of the Suns for a throw.
And this is where the Suns now, they've got the football, look up and they see 2 spare Geelong players, one being Stanley. So it becomes really bizarre how they intend to get into their forward line.
Noah Anderson with his first touch of the day, he just goes long right down the wing. Closey has a go at it for the Suns. In the end, it's taken by O'Sullivan. The youngster from the Cats puts them back inside 50. Lemons will chase after it. He's ahead of Stengel. He's got a battle with him now. Stengel nearly gets it. In the end, it's Noble that can. Hand passes it backwards towards Rioli, who hand passes it to Powell, flicks it to Noble. Back to Lemons. He dodges around and then can hand pass it across to Noble until Closey's there and can punch it right out of bounds for a boundary throw-in. And it's Geelong ahead by 12 points. We've played 19 minutes in the first term on ABC Sport.
Lauren Borden and Matt Clinch, Mick Malthouse and Kez Peterson. Lex Pescier down the boundary. If you just flicked on the radio, Bailey Smith was a laid out with calf tightness. Ethan Reid was also laid out for the Gold Coast Suns. Patrick Dangerfield makes his return, having missed a couple of weeks with hamstring tightness. McAndrew wins down the tap, but swooping onto it. It's well taken by O'Connor. Kicks the Cats up to half forward. A bounce that eludes in the end. Will Powell, he races back out to grab it. Has to get around Stengel, although his hand pass did no favours as Lemons is tackled over the boundary line by Close. And the umpire will ball it in. Inside 50 is the way of the Cats. 10-6 through the opening 20 minutes here. It's Geelong who lead by 12 points.
Unless Gold Coast can start to run this ball up the ground, because by kicking it they're not going to get there. So they'll need speed. They'll need, first of all, the ball if they can get hold of it cleared.
So tapped out comes to Jeffrey at the back of the pack. He steadies and will kick to centre wing. Plenty of Geelong players at the back of the pack, punched away by Stewart. Allows Holmes to gather it and hand pass it to Guthrie, who'll flick a kick right down to left half forward. It'll be picked up by Hewland, right close to the boundary line. He might have run out in the end, but he did.
Wouldn't have made any difference. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2. 5 to 2.
It's Geelong 101 though, isn't it, Mick? Long down the line kick. Tom Stewart comes from the back, affects the spoil. They're able to gather.
But you don't have to do that. You do not have to do that. The sides that don't do that think about their game. At the moment, I think Gold Coast are not used to this narrow ground. They cannot find running space at the moment.
Only 2 goals of the game so far have come the way of the home side in Geelong. They lead by 12 as Flanders can hand pass the ball away to Swallow. He'll put a hand pass in the centre of the field looking for Rioli. He gathers it, has to get a hand pass off very quickly. Guthrie can take it and hand pass it to Holmes. He's trying to be tackled by Long. Couldn't stick the tackle. It's O'Connor. Hand pass to Myers, who can chip a kick that's picked off by Swallow.
And he looks into the middle of the ground as they try and open up the field. Switches out to the far side where Holman takes the mark. Hand pass to Noble. Now he has King down the line up against De Koning, but he elects against that and now waits for King to push back into space. De Koning got there late, made the spoil. Umpire said he did so legally. And he's back to the ball coming in and probably got away a little bit with one there, a throw in just inside the 50 for the Gold Coast Suns. Geelong leading by 12 points.
Well, he found space. That's the first time that they've actually found the space. And De Koning's closing speed was excellent.
They're just going to have to be so patient, the Gold Coast Suns, as they transition the ball through the ground, as Mick Moldhouse made reference to. Geelong having an extra 1 or 2 players across half-back, which is their way they love to set up. Stanley tries to follow up his ruck work, but lost it to Flanders, whose hand pass is chopped off by Max Holmes. Kicks end over end up the wing. A bouncing ball for Powell. He's tackled by Stengel holding the ball. And Geelong wing it back on the Hickey wing, close to Lex against, taking the advantage. Now he does. The umpire had stopped everyone, so I think it will go back to Tyson Stengel. But in the end, I think Geelong players and fans at least thought it could have been 50, and the umpire did waive advantage.
So then they paid downfield.
Well, that's wrong. It's a bad decision. Look, it's the right decision, but that's just nonsense.
There's no advantage in that.
No. Well, that's one.
There's close then will kick though right down to left half forward. It'll just bobble its way inside 50. Stengel will grab it ahead of Collins, close to the boundary, ducks around, keeps it in play. Hand pass is taken by Andrew, and he's happy to take the tackle right over the boundary by Jeremy Cameron for a stoppage inside 50 for the Cats. 20 metres around from the left behind post, kicking towards the Barwon River side of Cardinia Park.
Well, aside from the ball movement, the other difference between the two teams at the moment is that Geelong is sticking their tackles. They're 20-11 in favour of Geelong. So many broken tackles for Gold Coast at the moment.
Ball swung back in. It's punched away by Witt. Swallow will chase after it and pick it up and hand passes. He's falling. Holmes was there to gather, but he's close to the boundary line as well. So it'll be a throw in front of the big scoreboard outer side of the ground. It is the Cats leading by 12 points with Atkins and Humphreys kicking the 2 goals for Geelong so far.
Gold Coast Suns have never won here at Cardinia Park. Geelong have won their last 7 clashes here. Their last one was actually against the Bombers during the COVID period in 2021. As Witts takes it out of the ruck and gets a clearance up towards the wing. Kicks out in front of Holman, who can't take it cleanly. It spills off him and off the hands of Blitzhouse and out for a throw-in under the red Hickey stand here at Cardinia Park. Geelong by 12 points, 2-1-13 to the Suns 1 behind. Cats had the first 2 goals in the opening 10 minutes, but we've had 14 minutes without a goal. Bailey Smith are laid out for Geelong with calf tightness.
Ball tossed in right at centre wing. Hickey side stand of the side of the ground. Close takes his tackle to the turf. Dispossessed, but Atkins can pick it up and kick into the centre of the ground towards Neal. Hand pass to Guthrie. Flicks it across to Myers and he'll push it out wide towards Humphreys, who can pick it up and dab a kick right inside 50, looking for Cameron against Andrew. Andrew did well just to knock it off Cameron's chest, and it's Humphreys who'll pick it up again and go inside 50, deep for the Cats. The mark can't be taken by Close. It comes down. Dangerfield doing his best to work in there. Can't take it. Powell as well. Hand passes it across to Fiorini, to Anderson, who'll send the clearing kick right out of defence for Gold Coast. But it's Blitzarves that stands tallest to take the mark for Geelong.
That wall set across half forward as he comes into the middle of the ground for Tom Stewart. Works it out to Holmes, who marks at the edge of the centre square in the middle of Cardinia Park. Max Holmes looks out to space, puts it out in front of Dangerfield and Jeffrey. Jeffrey worked his way to the front. In the end, neither get a hand to it and goes out of play for a boundary throw in the left forward pocket for Geelong. Cats by 12 points. 25 minutes gone. Opening term, Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Dangerfield, the only cat yet to touch the footy as well. In his first game back from a hamstring injury, he's been involved in the play, just can't find the footy at the moment.
Jeremy Cameron's had just the one touch as it's thrown back in. Witts over the back, trying to knock it down to Flanders. Spills out the way of O'Connor. He's tackled, and the umpire will ball it up. Lex Pesher on the boundary.
Mick, just an update on the weather. The wind has completely dropped off. You can probably see those flags up there. They've pretty much stopped now, but those grey clouds seem to be rolling in.
About 11 degrees out there, so...
I hate to break it to you, Lex. Mick had the weather app out. It's coming, isn't it, Mick? The rain.
It's coming. So are Geelong.
I've got a brolly ready for you, Lex.
Thanks, guys. I've been warmer and I've been drier, but that's okay.
It's all fun and games as Gold Coast work it right down the wing, and it's a kick by Powell that comes down towards Lombard, but it's Holmes that takes it. Lombard does the tackling in just his second game of footy, and it'll be a ball up right in front of the Geelong bench. You can see all the rain on top of the benches here where it's been sitting there. It feels like temperature of about 6 degrees out there today. It's only 4:30 in the afternoon. Ball's tossed in, it's punched or pushed away by Stanley across to Blitzarves, long kick. It was hurried down towards Collins. He's not paid the mark as he was on his hands and knees. Here comes Dangerfield, like he so often does, just pulls it out. Hand pass to Myers, inside 50 miles will go. Here's Jeremy Cameron running and leading and taking the mark directly in front, 50 metres out.
Yeah, because they all dropped off. Again, this is the smartness of Cameron and Geelong knowing each other. Experienced side, that everyone run back to the goal square. Cameron turns back into open space and leaves his man by practically 8 to 10 metres. So very, very easy. It appears easy, but it's done through a lot of experience.
Jeremy Cameron leading the Coleman medal race so far this season. Steps over the pain of 50. Lets loose towards goals. And he just misses to the left-hand side. So just a behind for the Cats. It pushes their margin out to 14 points. 2-2-14 playing Gold Coast just the one behind. Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Powell into Noble for the Gold Coast Suns as they work it up to Fiorini, who takes the mark at left half back. Turns and comes back inboard to Powell. How risky is he willing to be? Into the middle of the ground. The kick missed down Rioli, although Dempsey didn't take it cleanly. Swallow tried to hack it forward. It's kicked off the ground. Volleyed in the air by Anderson to half forward. Humphreys, great pickup. One way then the other. Cuts back on his right. Snaps towards goal and misses to the right-hand side. Just their 8th inside 50 for the quarter. Geelong have had 14 at the other end. They're second behind of the match. The Cats 2-2-14. Geelong by 12 points. So we tick towards quarter time, 28 minutes gone.
They needed that, the Gold Coast. It would have been a good settler for him. It deserved a better finish. He was able to wrong foot his opponent.
Guthrie brings the footy back in right towards Blitzarves, who'll mark and hand pass off to Myers. He'll kick right down to O'Connor. He'll mark at centre wing. Just in front of the two benches, who'll flare the kick slightly inboard, looking for Mullen. Couldn't take the mark. It's Fiorini that picks it up for the Suns. Hand passes to his captain, Anderson, who chips the kick towards Lombard.
Still one man short in the forward line, but they got the ball, and this is the difference now. Clean ball.
Lombard just waits for his teammates to make their way into the forward 50, goes towards a pack, and it's Tom Stewart patrolling, who steps to the front, takes the intercept mark ahead of all the Suns players. His side ahead by 12.
And look, he was the loose player, so they all all experienced. They nestle in on their player and allow the loose player to come over the back and take an easy mark. This will be a repeat story unless Gold Coast change the narrative, really.
Stewart to O'Sullivan, to Jack Henry, now to Grime Myers, who kicks up towards the wing. Stanley up against Noble, couldn't take the mark, but got it down to Blitzaz. Hand pass around the wing, got it forward to Sean Manor. He pulls his kick up towards Dangerfield, one-on-one with Collins. Can't hang on to it, dangerous. It's picked up by Powell. Hand pass away to Mac Andrew, back to Powell. Can they turn defence into attack? Up towards Ben Long, pushed underneath it. Well done by Ben O'Sullivan, as the free kick, though, is coming back and Ben Long is going to get it.
Well, it is a free kick. It's
very late whistle.
Well, I think it was an umpire from the other end. So he wasn't in position to mark. Nonetheless, this is the first time that they've now to see whether they can get through a lot of traffic.
It's allowed Geelong to get just about everyone back in their defensive 50. So Long just puts it to the top of the goal square where Stanley flies in front of Walter. Stanley's hand pass chopped off. It ricochets out towards Swallow and Myers. Tom Atkins dives on the bottom of the pack and the ball is stuck underneath him. 35 metres out from the Gold Coast Suns goal. Cats leading by 12 points. 30 minutes gone. Opening term. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
Enough time for the Suns to put their first goal on the board from the stoppage. Long takes it, he's dispossessed of the footy, and Stewart just clears the footy into plenty of grass in the middle of Gadinia Park. Mac Andrews sitting back there for the Suns will dart the kick back inside 50, goes past Holman and bounces its way out of bounds for a boundary throwing about 45 metres outside the Suns' goal.
And Geelong are doing the same now. There's a spare player behind for Gold Coast, but Geelong seem to have that other player right at the stoppage, so only need to have a little hand pass up and you've got someone clear.
Whitson Stanley in the ruck, ball bounces in the middle of them. Holmes takes it and again just hurries a kick to try and gain some space. Rioli's at the drop to put it back inside 50 for the Suns as the siren sounds to mark quarter time between the Cats and the Suns. It is Geelong leading 2-2-14 against the Suns, 2 behind. So it was old Geelong in that first term. They led the inside 50s and were able to put a couple of goals on the board early. Both goals coming at one at the 7-minute mark and one at the 10-minute mark. So it's Geelong ahead by 12 points. Blustery conditions, wet conditions at Gadinia Park with the home side in the lead.
While earlier it was the Sydney Swans who had a 44-point win over the Tigers, 11-14-80 to Richmond 4-12-36. The Swans get their bounce back after going down by 90 points to the Adelaide Crows last week. Freddie Grundy got the 3 votes in the ABC Football of the Year from Adam Ramanauskas and Luke Ball. The match review findings is in as well. It's a 1-match ban for James Peatling for his rough conduct on Lachie Neale. It was in the first quarter, so careless conduct, medium impact and high contact. A 1-match ban for James Peatling. And just repeating the late news that Bailey Smith was a laid out with calf tightness for Geelong, and Ethan Reid was also out for the Gold Coast Suns. So the late change meaning that Ted Closey came in for Geelong. Mitch Duncan is the sub for them. While for the Gold Coast Suns, it was Sean Lemons who came in with Ben Ainsworth, the sub for the Suns. The Cats leading by 12 points. Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
As each day begins,
get the facts you need to stay informed.
Every day, across your day.
Stay with Australia's trusted news source.
all the latest, all verified. Stay in the know with ABC News.
On ABC TV and ABC iView.
This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
So can the first goal come from a free kick? It's Tom Atkins, 45-degree angle, 30 metres out, starts it right, pulls it back to the opener. The home side has 1 on the board. It's the first score for today.
Palms it down to Cameron, who's bumped into by Lemons. Spills to Myers, centering ball, finds Blitzavs.
Yeah, good kick, really smart kick.
Who is looking to give it off, and Humphries squeezes it in. Goal umpire had a dash a long way to the right, but Geelong have their second goal.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Quarter time at Gadinia Park in Geelong. On ABC Sport, the Cats leading by 12 points, 2-2-14 to the Suns, 2 behind. Matt Lynch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Lex Pescier down the boundary. Kez Peterson and Mick Moldhouse, your experts. The Gold Coast Suns' second quarter of the season, kept goalless the first time in a first quarter so far in 2025. The thoughts of Kez and Mick.
That's okay.
Execution errors up here in the box today.
I was checking up on some stats. I was checking up,
Sorry, Mick, there was no eye contact there, was there?
No. So I was looking at 1,670 metres to 1,450 metres, and it tells you a lot that Geelong have basically controlled the game. The salvation is that it's 2 goals. And 2 goals, if the Gold Coast kick a quick goal, well, math says you only get 1 goal down, but it's not insurmountable. It's just if you want to protect the ball and you want to protect, I guess, Geelong from scoring, then you've got to score yourself. And right now, we've seen Stewart intercept, we've seen Henry patrol it, didn't have to intercept because he controlled it totally. Geelong have had 102 possessions, I think it's about 102 possessions for 14 inside. Gold Coast a bit more economical. They've gone in 12 times, 80 possessions, but it's how they've gone in there. They've given Geelong ample opportunity for big spoils intercept marks. When Gold Coast look the best, it's when they run the football. And incidentally, so does Geelong. When Geelong run the football, they look very, very strong, very, very good. They find targets. I'm not sure what the marking is inside 50, but there's no question that Geelong would be well and truly on top in that. So they're going to have to change their method, really.
Yeah, you're spot on, Mick. Geelong's had 3 marks inside their forward 50. The other thing that they're doing really well inside forward 50 is they're actually tackling. At the moment, it's 11-5 tackles inside forward 50, which is leading to repeat stoppages and repeat opportunities for Geelong. They haven't capitalised yet, but that may end up being the damn wall that's going to break for Gold Coast in this second term if they don't fix their ability or the inability at the moment to score. And the one thing that Geelong, I mean, it's a home ground advantage for a reason. They play this ground very well, but the way that they get the ball off the line is the way that they're able to generate, particularly off their half-back line. So we called it a couple of times. More often than not, it's Stewart who comes over the back. That back six is so clever, and the ability for them to gather the ball once it hits the ground and then rebound their attack going forward from their D50. You know, I feel like it's rinse and repeat, and we keep harping on it, but that's the way that they generate their score and their opportunity. And it's players like Brian Myers who takes the ball somewhere in between centre and half forward, and he's able to take the ball off the line. He's got that slingshotting right foot kick that most players in the competition would choose to go down the line or try and find a little kick, 20, 25 metre kick down the line. He's got the ability to swing his foot across his body and hit up. And the example of that in that first term was the Jeremy Cameron lead coming out of half forward. He just wrong-footed his opponent and ended up with a shot on goal. Didn't land, but they're the opportunities that Geelong are giving themselves because of the way that they move the ball. And Gold Coast need to take a really quick lesson in how to do that, because if they're not going to be able to find their running game, they've got to be able to move the ball, and it's going to be off the line rather than the long down the line kicks, which is just such an advantage for the Geelong defenders.
Yeah, well, just statistically, and I know you shouldn't go everything on stats, but I'm a real big fan of Witts in the ruck. I like their midfield. But at the moment, it's not setting up the play for any sort of runners. And as a consequence, Geelong in this narrow ground, it just keep picking him off.
A shot on our monitor of Bailey Smith, who's not featuring this afternoon. So out with calf tightness here as Geelong lead by 12 points. We get the second quarter underway. From the tap, it spills out the way of Tom Atkins, who races after it, a little topo. Out to Blitzabs on the broadcast wing, and it's locked to him by Noah Anderson. 2 behinds for the Gold Coast Suns. Their worst start to a match under Damien Hardwick, having arrived at the Suns last season from the re-stoppage. No chance to break clear. On the very bottom of the pack is Braden Fiorini, and he's locked up by Sean Manor. Umpire throws it up once more. Witts and Stanley. Stanley gets it down to Blitzabs. Hand pass to Myers. Tackled. He got a hand pass forward, though. Slotted on by Stanley to the runner, Max Holmes, who gathers 60 from home. Goes to the goal. And in the end, it was a desperate Sam Collins lunging with his right arm. He was able to get a hand to it just before it sailed through. Geelong by 13 points.
That tells me, Matt, that wind is definitely, well, it's not inhibiting anywhere this end of the ground, so they can go for their goals, Geelong.
Lemons just goes for distance as he kicks it out of defence. It will work out for Walter. It was touched off his hands, can't take the mark, comes off his hands to the turf. Anyone's ball to take it. In the end, Walter does go back in to pick it up. He's taken by Holmes, and everyone's happy to hand the ball back to the umpire for a throw-in right in front of our broadcast position, just to the left of the 2 benches as the rain is coming down again at Cardinia Park. There'll be a free kick for a hold in the ruck contest against Stanley and a free kick for Witts.
I don't know what he's whinging about. He's virtually almost hunting.
For all the free kicks we don't see coming out of ruck contest, that was a clear one.
Yeah, well, Geelong and Stanley don't think the free kicks count.
So Witts takes the footy, goes long down the line. Walter's got himself back down there, can't take the mark, comes down to O'Connor, hand pass across to Blitzarves. He shoves it on his boot, it'll bobble its way towards Witts, who can pick it up and hand pass it across to Lemons for the Suns, who puts the kick down towards Walter, and he'll mark and nearly rolls into the advertising hoardings as well.
It's a good mark, that.
He does hold on to it very close to the boundary line and ended up sliding into the camera people and the security, but he does have the mark there. Does Walter.
As Jed Walter sends the Suns inside 50. Ben King flies against 2. Down to the front where Holmes has tackled. Free kick going the Suns' way. I think this is coming to Big Ben. In the right forward pocket, he'll get the shot on goal. 40 metres out from goal.
Well, I can't say I've seen what that was for from here anyway.
doesn't make sense that it's going to King because he wasn't the one who laid the tackle, so it couldn't have been holding the ball.
No, it must have been the contest beforehand, but it was a very late call if that was the case. As you say, he certainly didn't make the tackle.
We're all waiting for a replay. Ben King with 32 goals of the season for the Gold Coast Suns, trailing, of course, Jeremy Cameron with 38. The Suns need a start here. He comes in, fires it at the right goalpost. It curls left and through it goes. The Suns have their first goal at the 3-minute mark of the second quarter. And it comes through their spearhead, Ben King. They're 1-2-8 to the Cats 2-3-15. Mick Malthouse and Kez Peterson with you on ABC Sport.
Well, as we spoke, I don't know if we spoke off air or just as we the second shot, there was not a lot of damage done on the scoreboard. Geelong seemed to control everything about the game, but the scoreboard only said 2 goals, so they didn't do a lot of damage. And if you score a quick goal, all of a sudden that becomes wafer thin, and that quick goal has happened regardless of, I don't know how they adjudicated the free kick.
Yeah, it was Sam de Koning in the marking contest. Just had his left arm around King's waist. To be fair, there wasn't a lot in it, but
there was nothing in it.
The result is that Gold Coast are well and truly back in the game.
There you have it. Like you said, Mick and Kez, it's just back to 7 points. The Cats' advantage as Holmes tries to steal the footy in the centre. In the end, Rowell takes it from him. Dispossessed, Stanley picks it up. Hand pass to Holmes, who spins around and will put Geelong to right half forward, where it bounces close to the boundary line. Dangerfield can pick it up. Hand pass to Myers. He hand passes backwards towards Dempsey, who tries to flick it over the top back to Myers or Dangerfield. And it's tapped over the line by Sam Closey. So it'll be a throw-in outer side of the ground, half forward for the Cats, coming towards the Selwood stand end of Cardinia Park in this second quarter.
Gold Coast have to put a bit of work into Holmes. He's really stepped up since Smith not playing, and his speed is really hurting the Giants, the Suns.
Rao chases after the footy and grabs it, kicks down the line towards Walter. It's picked up in the end by Humphrey. Hand pass to Flanders. Hand pass across to Humphrey. Running inside 50. He'll have a shot at the goal himself, and he just misses to the left-hand side. So the Suns with an improved start on their first quarter. It's just a behind for them, but the margin back to one straight kick the Cats' way.
As it's brought back into play by Tom Stewart. Kicks out to left half back, and Zach Guthrie takes the mark. Geelong by 6 points. 5 minutes gone, second quarter. Suns have had a couple of good attacking entries inside 50, though. Guthrie looks up the broadcast wing in the direction of Cameron. It won't get to him. Stengel tried to nudge Lemons underneath it. Gets a little toe poke forward with Mac Andrew gathers. Tackled by Close. Couldn't get a hand pass away, and he's holding the ball. Geelong take it back between wing and half forward, and now 50. You can only assume that
he put it on the ground.
Mac Andrew just put the ball on the ground, which I thought you were allowed to do.
Well, why? You've got, if the ball's in your hand,
got to give it back to your opponent, I guess. Yeah,
that's the rules. You know, I just don't see why a player wouldn't know that. It's different if it gets knocked out of your hand. Okay, don't pick it up. But if you've got it and then put it on the ground, which he did,
and ran away,
you couldn't expect anything different.
Brad Close had a shot in the opening quarter. He veers out here, opens up the angle around his body, puts through the Cats' third. They immediately answer back after the King goal at the other end. Geelong restore a 12-point advantage. They're 3-3-21 to the Suns 1-3-9, courtesy of a 50-metre penalty against Mac Andrew. Kez Peterson and Mick Malthouse, your experts on ABC Sport.
It's a disappointing result for the Suns. They had to work so hard for their first goal of the game, and really Humphrey should have 2 goals to his name. He's missed both, one at each end in the quarters, but a fairly, I'd say relatively routine sort of run-through kick for him from 45 out, just missed. And Geelong are able to transition it so quickly back in from a kick-in, and they've done that a couple of times. Mick, you mentioned it in the first quarter. Gold Coast have just got to do a far better job with the territory battle, because a mistake by Mac Andrews with the holding the ball and then the subsequent 50s led to Geelong pushing that margin back out again.
Well, we just have something about their kick-in. Geelong's kick-in, a lot of players pull back and they take their opponent back with them. With Stewart, he's then able to run to 20 to 30 metres before he kicks it. So it makes a lot of sense. You've got to hold your ground and put pressure on the kicker.
Cats back up ahead by 2 goals as Holmes does the tackling to lock the footy. Still in the centre square of Cardinia Park. A little tap away from Witts, comes down to the ground. Neal tries to get a dinky little kick away, and he gets ball to boot, but not very far, and it will be another throw in. So the rain falling here at Cardinia Park. Pretty wet conditions. Floodlights in full effect as Manor pulls it out from the stoppage and shoves the kick right inside 50 for the Cats. Dangerfield have front position. It falls down towards Lemons, who gets distance on the kick and will put it out wide, and it'll be a Humphrey mark.
Good mark against Stewart. Really, really talented mark.
He worked his body off Stewart well to take the mark and dart the kick forward. It was going towards Martin, slipped off his fingers. Couldn't take the intercept mark, but Henry was back there in support and can clear the kick for Geelong.
Kicks around his body up towards Mark Blitzav's 2-on-1, and it's ball out of play for a boundary throw in. Geelong by 12 points.
He's such a smart player, Jack Henry. Just the way that he times his drop off the back of the pack. Wet conditions, more often than not, that's going to spill over the back. He put himself in a perfect position to take the intercept possession and then clear his D50.
Jack Martin, the former Blue Cares, making his debut in Geelong colours. What roles he played this afternoon?
Not much yet, to be honest. He's had a couple of touches in the D50 and tried to take that intercept mark where the ball just went straight through his fingers, but I think he'll probably predominantly play off the half-back line, provide a little bit of run and carry for them.
Suns through Noble, gets a hand pass away to Fiorini, drives them inside 50. Ben King can't get to it. It's spoiled away by Jack Henry and goes out of play in the right forward pocket. And Mick, you made the reference to the Suns and their forwards, allowing Geelong to have a couple of loose in the back line. Have you seen in this second quarter?
They haven't. They've gone 6 and 6. And that's interesting because what's happened now, it's forced Geelong to drop their winger away from the stoppage and get him in play. So they've actually reduced the stoppage play. I think that'll aid Gold Coast, particularly with their midfield they've got.
So Atkins tried to clear the kick away. He only got it as far as Andrew. Takes the footy and he is tackled by Close, held on to, wrapped up, and the umpire will come and ball it up.
Yeah, it's a really different look now. If they hold their front six, it looks like they're going. Yes, they are. They're going to hold their front six, which is really interesting.
Which just works Neil out of the ruck contest and puts the footy inside 50 for the Suns. It'll be ricocheting back towards Ted Closey for the Cats, who'll put the ball on his boot and get it out wide. But it's Jeffrey sitting back for the Suns who can intercept it. And it'll be a free kick. Cameron encroaching on the marking area.
Which didn't interfere one little bit.
No.
He just didn't need to do it. He just tried to be cheeky, hanging around in the middle of the ground.
Yep.
Every player knows that as soon as that mark's taken, he's got to clear the space and get out of there. I totally agree. Mick had no influence on the play whatsoever, but
he'll knock this over from here. If this is in a no-win.
So in the end, he decides to chip it. Jeffrey was looking for Long, doesn't quite hit him, and Martin can take it. Hand pass it to Blitzarves, hand pass to Manor, whose kick comes off the side of his boot, and it goes into row 5. So it'll be a free kick for Jeffrey, it looks like, again for the Suns. So it's the Cats leading by 12 points, Gold Coast having kicked their first goal of the match in the second term. Earlier
it was Sydney who defeated Richmond by 44 points at the MCG. As Jeffrey comes inboard to Lemons, he was the late inclusion for Ethan Reid. Bailey Smith out with hamstring tightness for Geelong. Lemons veers out to the right, sends the Suns inside 50 once more. Walter sets himself, King at the back, it bounces off hands. Goes out of play in the right forward pocket for the Suns, 25 metres around from their goal. The players stand in as the rain continues to tumble down here at Cardinia Park.
There's 3 clubs, Geelong, Collingwood and Brisbane, are outstanding at spoiling. Don't give them a chance. Move the ball around those packs.
Ball tossed in. Stewart desperately trying to gather it. Humphrey might have another go here. He dodged left, then right, was tackled. Umpire said play on, or he did call it back. It'll be a free kick high going to the Suns.
And now 50.
Well, the free kick was definitely there.
So
I think must have been.
The players coming in for a little bit of push and shove as well.
I think it was Martin who ended up getting Rao quite high, but I think it probably should have been holding the ball to Humphrey in the first place. The play was allowed to go on, and this is the result. Rao lining up point blank.
Rao gets advanced to directly in front, slams through the footy. And you can hear the boos from the locals who didn't like that free kick one bit. I think they thought there was one for the holding the ball for the Cats as well. But it is the second goal on the board for the Suns, and that margin just brought back to 6 points Geelong's way. It's the Suns 2-3-15, Geelong 3-3-21. Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Lex Pesher on the boundary.
Interesting down here watching Mitch Duncan. He's the sub for the Cats today, but how much of a role he's playing from the back of the bench, being almost acting as a coach. He looks more interested than anyone out here at the moment.
Game number 302 for him, the experienced Cat starting as the sub this afternoon. Ben Ainsworth for the Gold Coast Suns, and after Geelong booted the opening 2 goals of the match, now the Suns with 2 of the last 3.
They're doing it the hard way, aren't they, the Suns? But yet again, Mick, they find themselves only goal down.
Witts up against Shannon Neal. Witts wins down the tap beautifully to Anderson. A centre bounce clearance to Toot Miller. Kicks inside 50, looking for Long. Wrestled away Jack Henry. De Koning runs onto it. Left the footy behind. Ben King tries to tap it out. He could have almost been taken high. And De Koning goes again for Geelong. Hand pass to O'Connor. Gets it away to O'Shea Mullen. His kick is partially smothered. Gathered by Noah Anderson. The centering ball long one direction. O'Sullivan the other. Off hands. It's gathered by Swallow. Hand pass to Walter. Tight against the boundary line. His hand pass looking for Sam. Closely goes over. Throw it in the left forward pocket for the Suns.
8-3 inside 50s for this quarter alone towards the Gold Coast as well.
Yeah, that was a terrible kick by Miller, running into 50, and I would have thought he would have been good for 50. He tried to pin it through two players. You just can't do that against the Cats. You really have to go. If the opportunity arises, you have to take it.
Ball tossed inside the Suns, attacking 50. Witch just taps it away. Long tries to gather it. Martin doesn't get the kick away. Anderson has a go. Can't get boot to ball either. In the end, it's Myers for the Cats that can send a clearing kick just out to right half back. Dempsey has to run onto it. And in the end, he runs over the boundary line alongside Sam Closey, where there'll be a throw in.
I thought you were going to say the work of Jared Wittsmick, who just held Shannon Neal with one arm and said, right, no thank you, and won a comfortable tap. So very much 33-year-old man up against the boy, it looked like there.
You can definitely, see the difference when Neal's been put in the ruck against Witts. It's Witts this time against Blitz Sarves. He still gets the tap out the Suns' ruck. Mana tries to gather it. It's definitely slipping and sliding along the deck and harder to pick up the footy as the rain continues to come down. So no one gathers it, and it will be a ball up half forward for the Suns.
Long play coming off the ground too.
Right on cue, Shannon Neal, who we were talking about, is hobbling off the field with a foot concern. We'll get Lex to keep an eye on that. From the tap down to Miller, to Rao, back to Dan Rioli. Just got away from Tom Atkins. Gets the hand pass away to Lemons. From the middle of Cardinia Park, inside 50. Walters and King are both there. Neither can take the mark. Off hands. Overrunning it was Lombard. Picked up by Myers. Screws a kick out of defence. Tom Atkins takes the mark. They handle that pressure so well, Geelong.
Yeah, and with strength too, Matt. You know, it's they handle the pressure, and it's experience we know, but their body strength was much better than Gold Coast. And every time it's fallen short, Geelong were taking it away.
Atkins out to Mark O'Connor, who kicks up towards half forward. Stanley palms it down, trying to combine with Brad Close. He's tackled and taken over the boundary line by Powell on a boundary throw in. Matt Letcher, Lauren Borden calling the action. Mick Malthouse and Kes Peterson, your experts. Here's Lex Pescier on the boundary.
Shannon Neal has come off holding that left ankle. He's barely walking at the moment, not putting a lot of weight on it. He was holding the front of his left ankle, going down to the rooms now.
Thanks, Lex. Definitely a watch there as the ball's tossed in right as where Neal's trying to get down into the rooms for some treatment on his ankle. Rao grabs the footy, and then he's taken in a strong tackle by Closey to stop him from going any further.
Yeah. I actually reckon that was doing the ruck in the forward 50 was, and Jared Witts just stopped. He ran into the back of him and rolled his ankle.
So Holmes now goes after this one, pushes it away. It's into the arms of Swallow though, and the Suns will go forward again to right half forward. Humphrey will chase after it. It's Henry at the back though, was in the right position again and can flare it out wide. He's looking for Humphreys. It won't get him in the end. It's taken by Sam Closey. Hand passes it to Lombard, who moves the ball inside 50 to Long.
He had more time. He could have virtually run. I'm not sure. The kick, if there's a goal scored, it's a good kick. If it doesn't score a goal, then that player should have taken responsibility. He really had, I reckon he had 15 metres before he even got a contest in front of him.
I wanted to see him kick another goal, get a celebration like what we got last week.
That's what that's why I say I just think he might have panicked a little bit.
The first game, Lombard too long, who has his set shot, and it looks good. He finishes for the Suns and scores a level at Cardinia Park. After a slow start to the game for Gold Coast, who didn't score a goal in the first quarter, they have now brought things tight. It's 3-3, 21 apiece for the Suns and the Cats, who have played 16 minutes in the second term. Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Karen Peterson and Mick Malthouse.
What I liked about it, Mick, as much as I agree he could have taken the responsibility and kicked it, he had enough time and space to do so, but it was really the first Gold Coast player that's lowered their eyes when they've gone inside forward 50 and was able to, again, take the ball off the line. We've spoken about that a couple of times and hit up a leading forward. Every other inside 50 thus far, particularly in this quarter, has been, from that sort of 75-metre launch zone outside 50, long kick to non-moving forwards. Yeah. That one was a leading forward and a kick off the line that resulted in a goal.
Mac Andrews up against Reece Stanley. Stanley might have hurt a finger as Mac gets it forward to Rowell, who drives them inside 50. 2-on-1 against King. As Jack Henry gets back to help De Koning, and it goes out of play in the right forward pocket.
That's definitely a dislocated finger, I reckon, for Stanley. He's run away from the trainers, but he put it...
There's the time waste. Here's your time waste. Look at the boundary umpire. Now, in what book does it say he has to wait for the ruckman? He should just ball it in, get rid of lazy ruckman.
So Mac Andrew doing the ruck work against Reece Stanley. We'll keep an eye on that finger as it tapped down. Holman, did he have possession as he was tackled? It spills out to Rao. And he's locked up by O'Connor, and the umpire will do it once more. Scores level, 3-3-21 apiece. The Suns with 3 of the last 4 goals of the match after Geelong kicked the first 2. Mac Andrew wins down the tap. Spills off Rao with the ball at his bootlaces. He tries to tap it away from Holmes. At the top comes Manor, and the ball is stuck underneath 3 or 4 players. 40 metres out from the Gold Coast Suns goal. The players stand in.
And Gold Coast now got +2, which is really well set up.
Ball comes down to Holman. He'll shove it on his left boot. It goes high into the top of the goal square for the Suns. No mark can be taken by Stewart, who is sitting under it. O'Connor comes in and he's taken in a strong tackle down to the turf.
Yeah, great tackle, but he did take a step, so he took it on.
The umpire will ball it up, though, again. So it's 15 metres out from the Suns' goal. They've scored the last 2 of the game so far to draw scores level at the Cattery. Stanley tries to get a hand to it. Comes down to Holmes. He'll just try and clear the ball outside of defensive 50. He can do that by getting it out wide, but Jeffrey will keep it in for the Suns and put them straight back inside 50. It's a very, very cluttered inside 50, and it's taken by Henry, who takes the hand pass away to Guthrie. Away to Closey, who hand passes to Oisin Mullen, who takes the tackle from Rao right over the boundary line for a throw-in. 40 metres around from the Suns' goal. Their scores are level. 19 minutes played in the second term.
Well, this is grow-up area for the Gold Coast. If they can hold and go in front at half-time with the weather the way it is and the way they're playing, they're dominating inside 50s. It's now, but you've got to be smart about it.
12-3, the way of the Suns as Ted Closey clears for the Cats. Kicks up towards half-back, but that's where Joel Jeffrey takes the intercepting mark for the Gold Coast Suns. In their bright pink away strip this afternoon in the black shorts as they drive it inside 50 once more. Flying at the back, Ben King got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. Spills the way of Max Holmes, kicks Geelong out of defence. Up towards Close, taps it away from Jeffrey, who landed his back. No, free kick on the way of Jeffrey.
Yeah, throw.
So he was, throw, yes. So he takes it at right half forward. You hear the Bronx cheers from the Geelong fans as Jeffrey comes inboard to Bodie Ullin. Switches into the middle of the ground for Collins, trying to open up the forward 50. Drives it into the pocket. It's over the head of Lombard. And Lawson Humphries takes the mark for the Cats in the right back pocket. Scores level at 21 apiece through 20 minutes of the second term.
Ruckman and fullbacks, don't try to pinpoint the ball.
Have you been talking to Nathan Burke at all?
No, it's just common knowledge.
Oh, poor Rux as the kick comes out from De Koning. It's a long kick to a pack over the top of Jeffries, who's in the pack, but it will be picked up by Stengel, who's a little bit unsure of what to do with the footy. He just tries to dink a kick across to Close, who's got 3 Suns closing in on him, and in the end it might have been a push over the line. In the end it is a hold. It'll be a hold and a free kick going the way of Close.
Oh, I don't know why. He had the ball. It's bizarre.
It was just as he was going over the boundary line. It's probably more of a push in the end, but Close will have the free kick. A couple of kicks from home for the Cats. Will kick inside 50. Up went Stanley. Couldn't take the mark. Lemons is in there to pick it up for the Suns, and he takes that right over the boundary line. He had no eyes for anything else, and it will be a throw-in.
Yeah, you're spot on. You're spot on. If you want to define deliberate, just put that'll be in the dictionary. You'd see a photograph.
Kind of tucked it under and went.
Well, he just went straight for the boundary. You know, they're the ones that they've got to nail. They're the ones that are so obvious.
Suns are the last 2 goals of the match. We haven't had a goal in the last 5 or 6 minutes as it's tossed back in. Geelong deep in attack. Stanley down to the front, looking for Manor. He's tackled by Dan Rioli. Can't break clear. Drops the ball, tries to soccer it forward. Ricochets off to Miller. Ollie Dempsey leads the foot race. He's brought down by Noble. Good clinical tackle to make sure he didn't fall on his back, and the umpire will ball it up in the right forward pocket for Geelong.
Good call, Matt. That is a really intelligent tackle because it could have gone haywire, that one.
Just the Cats' 4th inside 50 in this quarter. The Suns have had 14 with the rain heaming down. It comes the way of Jeffrey, who was able to clear as he kicks a long ball out towards half-back, but nobody's there for the Suns. Running onto it, Oisin Mullen didn't take it cleanly. Now Holman offers a chase, dives on top of him and locks the footy underneath. The umpire says no prior opportunity with the footy now getting greasy The red Sharon to be thrown up between wing and half forward for Geelong. Its scores locked at 3-3, 21 apiece.
Here we are waiting again for the ruckman to get there.
So Andrew and Stanley make their way in there. It's tapped out the back towards Powell, who moves the footy onto Jeffrey, who'll put it very wide to the Hickey side stand. It's just pushed over the line by Lombard in the end. So it was a long kick out wide. They couldn't keep it in. And it'll be a throw-in almost at centre wing.
Jeremy Cameron and Patrick Dangerfield have only had 4 touches the whole game between them. Wonder whether it's time to send them up the ground a little bit, get them a bit involved through the middle and see if they can generate something forward, because both of them are just sitting at full forward and half forward and having absolutely no impact on the game at the moment.
Stanley and Andrew. It's Andrew who gets the tap away towards Rioli, fends off O'Connor, and then fires off a hand pass towards Noble just inside the boundary line. John Noble puts it on his boot and kicks to left half forward. It'll be a free kick to the Suns and to...
Oh, it had to be.
Little Jeffrey in the end, not Took Miller.
150 metres off the ball. We've got Sam Collins and Patrick Dangerfield having push and shove inside Geelong's forward 50 as well.
Jed Walter is going to take the ball at left half forward for the Suns, inside 50. Humphreys outnumbered 2-on-1. Is being held by Zach Guthrie, and De Koning came over the top, and the umpire says it's going to be a Geelong free kick in his frustration.
Yeah, 2v1, and good play by the Cats. They had the extra player and they've used him.
Lex Pesher on the boundary.
The Cats will make their sub, so Shannon Neal has come off with that left ankle injury, and it is Mitch Duncan who is coming on.
Yeah, that's no good. Thanks, Lex. So Shannon Neal unable to return, and Mitch Duncan will come into the action before half-time. Bailey Smith was a laid out for the Cats with hamstring tightness. Ethan Reid for the Suns. A throw got away with on the Suns there at half forward as it's worked forward by Toot Miller. Gets the hand pass away. As Sam Closey works it forward, and now Noah Anderson inside 50. Took too long. Tackled by Myers and holding the ball for Geelong. As Noah Anderson was looking for an easy option, and there wasn't one. He tried to buy a few extra seconds. He was tackled and deemed holding the ball. Cats take it back in the left back pocket. Scores level, 3-3, 21 apiece. 24 minutes gone, second term. As Myers goes short to Atkins, he's going to switch back inside the defensive 50, and Sam De Koning marks.
De Koning moves the ball on quickly by getting it long and looking for Max Holmes. It just goes through his fingertips. It'll fall to the back, and it'll be a high, which is an unlucky high, paid against Walter for Ted Closey. He'll just set his head over the footy. He kicks though to the centre of the ground towards O'Connor. He'll mark ahead of Holman and then swing it back towards the broadcast side of the ground where Stewart will hold on to the mark. He loads up on the kick and will put Geelong inside 50. Stanley at the front just taps it down towards Manor. Hand pass to Holmes, who's running and will dab a kick forward. It'll bounce once before getting to Noble. He takes it and puts it on his boot. A wide kick out to right half back for the Suns. It'll be cleaned up though by Atkins. It'll be coming back for the Cats.
As it's worked forward to Sean Manor. He's got close against the boundary line. He steers it to him. A tight angle in the left forward pocket, but the boundary line's too arc in a little bit here at Cardinia Park.
Pretty loose checking there by the Gold Coast defenders.
Yeah,
two 20-metre kicks along the boundary, really obvious kicks as well. Just they were lined up expecting the long ball in, and Geelong just lowered their eyes.
Close kick, Geelong's only goal so far this second quarter. He charges out to the right, cuts it across his body and misses near side to the left-hand side. He's only kicked multiple goals on one occasion in 2025, Brad Close, but it's enough to give Geelong the lead by that point, despite the inside 50s being 16-6 the way of the Gold Coast Suns in this second quarter.
Daniel Rioli takes the kick in. He said he loves living on the Gold Coast and the Gold Coast weather, so maybe this is what he was trying to avoid, but he's back in it today. A long kick out of defence, and it's punched over the line for a boundary throw-in. Just at right half back for the Cats. It's Geelong back ahead by 1 point. So they got out to as much as 13 points early in the first quarter until the Gold Coast worked it back to draw scores level, and that behind putting the Cats back ahead as Witts and Stanley tussle in the ruck. Witts with front position pushes it down. Cameron's now gone in to try and do what he can in the middle, but it's won by Atkins. Hand pass to Blitzarves as Cameron makes his way inside 50 for the Cats. It'll be an intercept coming from Fiorini, who'll flare it out wide across to Powell, who marks. And Powell's kick goes straight down, and it's an intercept now for Holmes, who can turn around in the rain, hand pass it across to Close. He's got the ball 55 metres out from goal, dabs the kick inside 50 for a mark to Stengel in the forward pocket.
Oh, that's a disgraceful kick. For a short pass with no pressure, and you kick it behind your teammate and straight to a Geelong player, that's what's created this. it was their own undoing. It was short passing went in front of them. They had one-on-ones and open space. And this is where Geelong struggle against run, and they didn't take the opportunity for run.
So Stengel starts his lineup from outside the boundary line, runs over 50 and launches the ball towards goals for a brilliant finish from Stengel. What a way to get on the board today from Stengel. A tough set shot kick. And he puts the Cats back out to a 7-point lead as we close in on half-time. It's Geelong 4-4-28, the Suns 3-3-21. Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport before the thoughts of our experts, Karen Peterson and Mick Malthouse. Let's head down to Lex Pesce on the boundary.
Shannon Neal has just come back to the boundary, jumper on, beanie on, and that left ankle severely iced.
It was the front of the foot. It could have been a bit of a syndesmosis.
Yeah.
Because you generally, with a medial or lateral twist, you can jab it up and probably get out there.
I wonder if it was
they've still got 2 rucks. This guy's the sort of player that can play from.
I wonder whether the conditions might have played into that decision, Mick. A tall forward swap for a...
Yeah, but you're robbing yourself of another player who's a multi-positional player.
Lex Pesce on the boundary.
He was holding the front of his ankle before, Mick, you are right. So possibly that, let's hope not.
Free kick going the way of the Gold Coast Suns. Matt Rowell is going to take it. Just to the right of the centre circles with the floodlights having taken full toll here at Kardinia Park. The rain is still lightly coming down as Rowell swings out to his right. Drives him inside 50. Tom Stewart uncontested. Takes the mark in front of Ben King.
How often have you said that, Matt? Did you pay $1 for every time you said that? Uncontested Tom Stewart?
Certainly in this match, Geelong have been able to dictate terms. They've had the game of poker on their terms. As the kick up towards the wing. Brad Close used his body well. Takes an excellent mark. Centre wing on the broadcast side. Geelong by 7 points. The Suns have booted 3-2 so far in this second quarter. As the kick up towards Blitzavs at half forward. Spoiled away by McAndrew. No. Blitzavs hangs on to the mark. He veers out to the right. Cameron in the pocket. Dangerfield as well. Dangerfield tries to protect the space, and Sam Collins beats both of them and sees it out of play for a throw in. Lots of encouragement from his fellow defenders. He has made up some good late ground in this match so far to offer great support.
He's got the thickest legs. He's like tree trunks, and those two weren't going to stop him getting across there. He's just a big man, strong too with it.
So another throw in inside forward 50 for the Cats. Stanley just pushes it down to Atkins. Underground hand pass looking for O'Connor. He's taken to the turf. The ball spills out the back, and it's a clearing kick from Rowell, who kicks towards Walter. Marks on his chest. He's ahead of O'Sullivan, and he hand passes out to Miller, who puts the kick on his boot. Looking for Humphries. It's a 2-on-1, and Stewart at the back does well to mark the footy, and will be paid a 50 as well.
That was con. That is absolutely disgraceful decision. That is a mark. The ball did get flipped out only because he was going for the mark. Stewart throws his hands in the air and gets a 50-metre. It cannot be...
It was a genuine attempt from Humphrey to tap it out for Stewart.
You cannot be done over by a senior player. This is where the umpires let themselves down time and time again against senior players or senior clubs.
So Stewart's kick in the end goes out of bounds inside forward 50. It'll be a free kick for Sam Closey.
Some would say that's the footy gods as the kick looked for Dangerfield on the pocket, out of bounds on the full. So Sam Closey takes it for the Suns. Geelong by 7 points. Kicks up the wing. Walter can't reel in the one-handed mark. Fino Sullivan tried to knock it on to Duncan. Loses it though. Humphries hand pass to Miller. Kicks inside 50. Ben King one-on-one with Henry. King went to his right, back to his left, trying to cut it back on his right and kicks it out of play. It bounces inside the field of play, so a throw in the right forward pocket, but he wasn't buying anything, he was selling.
Well done again by Henry, just closed that space, managed to effect the tackle, and Ben King had no ability to put an effective kick anywhere near his fellow forwards.
Such a dynamic duo, Jack Henry and Tom Stewart. As it's thrown back into play, Stanley wins down the tap, Suns inside their attacking 50. Running onto it was Matt Rowell. His hand pass just a little loose in the end for Fiorini. His hand pass missed Miller. He's tackled now as he gathered by Sean Manor. And O'Connor is tackled by Lombard. 40 metres out from the Gold Coast Suns goal. It's Geelong who lead by 7 points.
There's a minute left. Geelong, you know what Geelong are going to do. They're going to absolutely flood their back line.
So Witts and Stanley both wanted the free kick from the ruck. And it's given to Stanley. So he has the footy. He'll just chip towards Cameron. He's inserting himself in the game.
Well, back half he is.
He's finding himself up the ground. He's gone to assert himself in the game by going up the ground.
we see him do very often is he just kicks it out wide towards Humphreys or go with a long kick down the Hickey side wing to Manor. And Manor's able to mark, but he's another forward who's a long way from home for Geelong. Just puts plenty on the kick to get it right to the top of the 50 for the Cats. It'll be tapped inside 50. Anderson running onto it, gets tackled by O'Connor. He's sliding into the contest. And the umpire crosses his arms for a throw up. 40 metres out from the Cats' goal.
Not a lot of possession each, is it? 70 each, which is really low, really low.
So Wicks with a quick tap out, gets into some traffic where Ted Closey takes it. He's wrapped up by three Suns. And it'll be another ball up, 40 metres out from Geelong goal.
As the rain is coming down here at Kardinia Park, Cats by 7 points. Witts wins down the tap end. Stanley, Dangerfield on the move. Tackle by Powell. Umpire will ball it up. What have they had? 2 each, Paddy Dangerfield and Jeremy Cameron, Kez?
I think Cameron's up to 3 now because he got that linking kick across half-back, so 5 between them.
Still relatively quiet. Damien Harwood would take that heading into half-time. Max Holmes taps it towards the boundary line. And under the pressure of Fiorini, takes it across.
You can see Dangerfield just walking towards this contest, though, so he has been predominantly playing really deep full forward. He's inserting himself at the contest now. See if Geelong can snag a late one.
Chris Scott has resisted the temptation to move either up and around the ball. Patrick Dangerfield returning after a couple of weeks out with hamstring tightness. As it's gathered by Max Holmes, kicks inside 50. Cameron, in frustration, gave away the free kick for a hold.
Yeah, very interesting, Jewel.
And the siren sounds for half-time. So Mac Andrew was going to get the free kick. The umpire says that'll do us. And everyone will head to the change rooms with the rain still falling here at Kardinia Park. Geelong by 7 points, 4-4-28 to the Suns 3-3-21. The Suns with 3 goals to 2 in that second quarter. After Geelong led by 12 points at quarter time, it's a 7-point lead the Cats' way. For Geelong, individual goals to Humphreys, Stengel, Atkins and Close. While for the Suns, their goals have come through Rao, Long and King. Half-time here at Kardinia Park, Geelong by 7 points. Earlier, it was the Sydney Swans who defeated Richmond by 44 points. Brody Grundy got the 3 votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. James Jordan with 3 goals. So after that disastrous 91-point loss last week for the Swans at the hands of the Adelaide Crows, they bounced back with a win at the MCG. Mick Malthouse and Karen Peterson with their thoughts on the Cats' 7-point lead at half-time.
Well, it's probably founded. It's only 7 points. Geelong moved the ball probably a little bit better. When you look at the quarter by quarter, they're a couple hundred metres in front, and that just simply means they've moved the ball, whether it be by foot or hand or running forward, and that's kept it pretty close. It's only 7 points, but I think the thing that Gold Coast did was tie up the sixth backline player when they could. So when the ball did go into their forward line, it went in there frequently. It was 18-11 that quarter, which was astounding given the first quarter. But they started to dominate, and I reckon when Neil went off, all of a sudden they had the one ruckman, and so all of a sudden they were one ruckman short. Yes, Blisovs goes in there and he can ruck, but then he's robbed from somewhere else. The midfield started to get a bit more of the football, got the ball inside front 50, but then typical Geelong, they were able to close it out with numbers. When you score against Geelong, it must be scored quickly, and it must be open. And when the Gold Coast did score, it was that. And when it closes up, Geelong have just got... They're bigger in the body, they're more experienced, they know where the fence is. And I thought the Gold Coast held that very well until right to the end when that last... Who kicked the last goal?
Tyson Stengel kicked the last one.
Yeah, Stengel. And that came about by an absolute shocking pass that just didn't find its target. And why they were going lateral at that stage is beyond me, because right in front of them they had opened up the whole paddock. They'd moved the ball that quickly that Geelong were then struggling to get back. But if you start to chip those things off, you've got to make sure they count. But all up, I know that Geelong are leading by 7 points, but to me it is quite open.
Yep, I agree. Predictably, given these conditions, a low-scoring game, so every opportunity that either team is going to find themselves with is like pure gold, and I just don't think that Gold Coast really capitalised on that early dominance in that second term. There's a couple of goals. Humphrey was one that probably could have taken an opportunity to go back and slot one, and I think for Gold Coast to be happy with their first half, I think they would have liked to have been probably 2, maybe 3 goals ahead. It's not the case. Geelong have scrapped their way back in front, as you've mentioned, Mick. A couple of prime movers. Max Holmes is starting to get really involved. He's the one, he's had 17 touches, but he leads along with Brian Myers, the handball receives, and that's exactly what you're talking about, Mick, just that run and carry that Geelong are able to generate.
Yep.
Conversely, the highest player from Gold Coast is Will Powell, who's had 5 handball receives, and then it really drops off. Rao's the next best with 3. So you can just see the difference in the way that Geelong's trying to move the ball. They're trying to get the ball through hands. It hasn't always come off for them, and it certainly didn't in that first half of the second term there. But once they really start to get going, and I think a lot of that too, particularly with the Max Holmes ones, and we talked about a lot throughout the call, as Gold Coast were holding those 6 forwards, Max Holmes was playing high-risk, high-reward football. He was sitting in front of his opponent so that when the ball spilled and hit the ground, he was first one off the mark and really was able to outnumber, moving forward for Geelong. I'll be interested to see what Gold Coast do with that in the second half, because they can't allow a player of his quality and his speed in conditions like this to have the amount of ball that he's getting. As I said, he's up to 17 touches, 7 handball receives. He's had 5 rebound 50s as well. So he's leading a few different categories. Brian Myers, as we mentioned as well, is heavily involved with 14 touches himself. Max Holmes as well, just to highlight that point even further. He's had 446 metres gained. So he's really, really involved. I wonder whether they might send someone to him, or at least someone needs to be responsible.
I'm not sure they do it. And so Damien Hardwick, when you look through his history, coaches coach a long history. They have a set game structure in their mind, and they generally, if it's been successful, let's face it, at Richmond is highly successful. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they actually. I'm with you. I think Holmes is their catalyst at the moment, because he's not only got the speed and he's had 17 possessions. It's the ball carry. He carries the football. He ran away from Matt Rao there, right in front of us, and I thought, this is. He didn't use the ball that well at that time, but 400 odd metres, you're spot on.
You mentioned in that second quarter, Kez, 18-11 the inside 50s for the Gold Coast Suns. They've managed just 1 mark inside 50 in that half. Geelong have had 5. And the influence, Mick, of, I guess, Geelong's key defenders, so Tom Stewart and Jack Henry, you made the mention at quarter time that the Cats were pretty happy to try and get the game on their terms, with a couple of players loose across half-back. At times it felt like there was 3 or 4. Yeah. Joel Jeffries had 5 intercept marks for the Suns, and Tom Stewart has had 5, with Jack Henry having 3. So does Damien Hardwick maybe consider trying to isolate the forward line a bit more and maybe get a matchup like a Bailey Humphries, who's looked very dangerous in this match, to try and limit the impact of Stewart and Henry?
Well, I thought they did in that first part of that second. No, I'll go longer. If it went for 30 minutes, let's go real time, 20 minutes. I reckon they've done it for about 15 minutes, and that's when they look their most proactive and their most dangerous. We can't discount Geelong because they've got 6 backs and 6 forwards. What it does do, it makes them have to be accountable. Doesn't mean they're not going to win that contest, because they've got some very good players. But what it does do, it doesn't allow them the easy. So when you get that loose player on this ground, Matt, not only do they have a loose player who takes the mark, they then are able to run the football, because the opposition player, the spare player, is normally sitting back, doesn't know what to do on a narrow ground. And then the momentum builds. Gold Coast got back in that game because they started to win the ball in the middle, and then they started to make sure that forward of the ball, Geelong were accountable. And they didn't mark the football. I think you said there was 1 mark, so they didn't mark the ball. But what they did, they got the ball in there on their terms. For some unknown reason, later in that quarter, they dropped it off again. And as a consequence, I thought Geelong started to get back in the game and start to sniff the fact that, hang on, it's line ball, we need to get back in this game. Geelong, I think if Gold Coast analyse their game, they'll go, you know what, our best bet was to, we're not going to tag Stewart, but what we're going to do is have a player down there, and he has to look after him.
Yeah, the Suns with just 1 mark inside 50 for the half. Sam Collins, though, in their back half has taken 6 marks, including 4 intercepts. Halftime here at Kardinia Park. Geelong leading by 7 points. Let's bring you the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with David Rowlands. Crowds are gathered across the country at vigils in memory of an Indigenous man who died in police custody in the Northern Territory. Molly Slattery has more.
24-year-old Kumanjai White, who had a disability, died last week after being restrained by off-duty police at an Alice Springs supermarket. Memorials and marches have been held in Brisbane, Sydney and Wollongong today as part of a national week of action, calling for an end to black deaths in custody. Brisbane rally organiser Sam Walters says Kumanjai White's death is a tragic development in an ongoing issue.
It's devastating to be here once again, gathering to protest and mourn as a community another person who's been taken by police.
More vigils are planned in Perth and Adelaide tomorrow.
A mayor in Queensland's Wide Bay region says the alleged murder of teenager Phoebe Bishop has shaken the community profoundly. Authorities found remains in a national park near Gin after the 17-year-old had been missing for more than 3 weeks. Ms Bishop's 2 housemates have been charged with her murder. Bundaberg Mayor Helen Blackburn says Gin locals will gather at a candlelight vigil in Phoebe's honour tomorrow afternoon.
It's important for the community to come together. It's important for them to know that they're there for one another. And it's certainly important for them to grieve. I mean, it's a very, very sad time for the family and for the community. But we are resilient and we are going to get through this, but we'll only do it if we do it together.
Still in Queensland, where a man has died in an incident in Brisbane southwest. Police say a man in his 50s was crushed by a carport late this morning. A report is being prepared for the coroner. Victorian police are appealing for witnesses to a hit and run that left a man with serious injuries in Melbourne CBD last week. Emergency services responded to reports the car had struck a pedestrian near the intersection of King and Batman Streets in West Melbourne. Police say the driver of a dark blue sedan left the scene, leaving a 30-year-old Chinese national suffering 2 broken legs. Senior Constable Mitch McWilliams says police have no other information to help identify the driver.
The person that's done this knows that they've done this. I'd like to have them have a really hard think about what type of person that makes them to leave someone for dead in the gutter. It's pretty low.
The Housing Minister says moving the administration of the building and construction industry into the Department of Treasury will help cut red tape in the sector. Labor has vowed to tackle the nation's decline in construction productivity and promised to build 1.2 million homes in the next 5 years to mid-2029. It is currently falling short of that target. Claire O'Neill says centralising her portfolio is part of the government's effort to address the problem.
If we are going to seriously confront the housing challenges faced by Australians, we're going to have to tackle that construction productivity problem. So how can the Commonwealth impact on this? Well, for the first time under our government, the different parts of housing have been brought into one portfolio and put under my control.
Investigations are continuing after 2 bodies, believed to be that of 2 tourists reported missing in Tasmania, were found by police in a remote area of the state's northeast. Madeline Rojan has the story.
Police say they found a car in water off Tebraquina Road about 5:30 yesterday evening and what's believed to be the bodies of missing Queensland tourists Leandra Kang and Takahiro Toya, aged in their 20s. The pair were reported missing on Wednesday after they failed to return their hire car and board a flight from Launceston back home. Inspector Luke Manhood says early indications suggest the pair were travelling over a bridge when the vehicle left the roadway and ended up in the water. Police say there are no suspicious circumstances and a report will be prepared for the coroner.
Convicted members of the far-right group the Proud Boys are suing the US government for more than $150 million after being pardoned by President Donald Trump. They were all jailed for their part in storming the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. in 2021. The men named in the lawsuit include the former leader of the Proud Boys, Enrico Tarrio. He says their constitutional rights were violated by an illegal and corrupt prosecution.
For 4 years, we fought to defend our innocence against a relentless assault on our constitutional rights. Today, we defend no more. Today, we go on the offense. Specifically, the Biden administration and its ruthless campaign to rob us of our liberties and terrorize our families.
And Thailand's military says it will take control of the opening and closing of checkpoints on the border with Cambodia. It comes as tensions rise between Thailand and neighbouring Cambodia. ABC News.
Step back 66 million years.
When amazing creatures of epic proportions ruled the earth.
Join Bertie Carvel for Walking with Dinosaurs. Stream all the episodes now on ABC iView.
Cameron and Corbin Middlemash from ABC Sport here.
Alongside Paul Roos, Brett Delidio and Poppy Penny, we bring you all the latest AFL news from both on and off the field on the ABC AFL Daily podcast.
You can hear it all on the ABC Listen app.
Time to steady and pull the trigger!
Get ABC AFL Daily Podcast. It's your daily footy conversation. Find it on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Jed Walter sends the Suns inside 50. Ben King flies against 2. Down to the front where Holmes has tackled. Free kick going the Suns' way. I think this is coming to Big Ben in the right forward pocket. He'll get the shot on goal. Ben King with 32 goals of the season for the Gold Coast Suns, trailing, of course, Jeremy Campbell with 38. The Suns need a start here. He comes in, fires it at the right goalpost. It curls left and through it goes. The Suns have their first goal at the 3-minute mark of the second quarter. Brad Close had a shot in the opening quarter. He veers out here, opens up the angle around his body, puts through the Cats' third. They immediately answer back after the King goal at the other end. Geelong restore a 12-point advantage.
Ball tossed in. Stewart desperately trying to gather it. Humphrey might have another go here. He dodged left, then right, was tackled. Umpire said play on, or he did call it back. It'll be a free kick high going to the Suns.
I think it was Martin who ended up getting Rowell quite high, but I think it probably should have been holding the ball to Humphrey in the first place. The play was allowed to go on, and this is the result. Rowell lining up point blank.
Rowell gets advanced to directly in front, slams through the footy. And you can hear the boos from the locals who didn't like that free kick one bit. Stengel starts his lineup from outside the boundary line, runs over 50 and launches the ball towards goals for a brilliant finish from Stengel.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
Half-time at Kardinia Park. The Cats lead by 7 points over the Gold Coast Suns, looking for the first ever win here at the home of the Cats. The Suns, Geelong 4-4-28. The Suns 3-3-21 for the winner, a spot inside the AFL's top 4 at the end of the weekend, with the Suns currently sitting in 4th position, 8 wins and 3 losses, and the Cats are in 5th, 8 wins and 4 losses. But of course, the Brisbane Lions going down last night to the Adelaide Crows. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Lex Pesher is down on the boundary. Mick Moldhouse and Kez Peterson are your experts on ABC Sport. Dean Cox able to get a victory for his Swannies by 44 points over the Tigers. By all reports, he took the players to the beach to try and inspire them. What's the relief like when you finally get that breakthrough, be it against the side that many people would have thought they should win? But hey, you just need the 4 points by any way possible.
Yeah, we've got to remember, though, they were last year's...
they were?
I think they finished...
Minor premiers?
Yeah, and yeah, they were belted in the grand final. So you'd say, well, Richmond are coming off a very low base to play them. So I admire both. I admire Richmond and what they've done. Adam Uzo, I think he's done an excellent job. It's going to catch up always with young players. There's no question about that. The constant change of players, who plays and who doesn't play, and they've had senior players not play. But when you look at Sydney, you say to yourself, well, why have they fallen away so badly? They finished minor premiers last year on the back of a lot of medium-sized players kicking a lot of goals. And I'm talking about Papley. Who else was there?
They're missing Logan McDonald, John Marty hasn't been featured.
Yeah, I don't see. They haven't. They've during the final series, their talls were injured.
Yep.
Heaney was injured, and they played him, and they paid a penalty for them. Now you look at the side this year, and there's to me there's a lot of doubt. You've got a new coach who's come in, but he's already been part of it, so he understands them. Interesting, I listened to a couple of players, and they said, we want to really do this for John, for Dean. And I think that is so good to hear, that they feel for a new coach coming in, and they've got that respect for him. So I'm not surprised at the result. I'm surprised probably when I looked at the first part of the game and thought, well, okay, Richmond are right on here, but they barely scored from there on in. It's quite remarkable. But, Sydney, I don't look... I think what they'll do, they'll trouble a few sides, but whether they'll win enough games to make the 8, I think you need 12 or 13 to make the 8 these days, don't you? But
yep.
Is it normally... It was 12, wasn't it?
Sort of 13.
Now it's probably 13. And what are they short at the moment? They're short 8, aren't they? If they're short 8...
That's their 5th win of the season.
Yeah, so they're going to win another 8 in 11 games. So that's a tall order.
Errol Gordon and Tom Papley ticked off their main markers as part of the rehab group, so they'll train throughout the bye to try and improve their fitness for Sydney's round 15 clash against Port Adelaide.
I'm interested to get Kez's thoughts on this. I heard you today, Mick, on AFL Saturday about Jack Ginnivan showing the ball before kicking the goal. You said it was disrespectful. You wouldn't like to have seen it. Kez, you're playing in the defensive, almost full back pocket. What do you do if someone did that to you, showed you the football and kicked the goal? How would you have felt?
Oh, I don't like it. I get accused of being a pretty dour defender at times, and I'm okay with that tag. Look, there's where I draw the line is taunting the opposition, all the showboating, the celebration, all those sorts of things. Whilst it's not my cup of tea, I'm okay with celebrating your own success or your teammate's success, but I do draw the line when it's taunting the opposition. I don't think it sends the right message to the young kids that are watching, and Mick nailed it with the disrespect or the lack of respect shown to the opposition. That's probably where I stand with it.
What about a Suns fullback, Sam Collins, who's just bumping into Paddy Dangerfield when the ball's 200 metres away? When you're sort of in your mid-30s, like Danger coming back after 2 weeks with a hamstring concern, you'd be pretty keen to keep that to one side, wouldn't you?
Oh, you would, but if I know anything about Patrick Dangerfield, he's pretty quick on the lips, so I wouldn't. I don't think that would have been one-way traffic, put it that way, Clinchy.
So the Suns 3-3-21 is equal their lowest half-time score for the season against the Brisbane Lions earlier in the season, while Geelong's score of 4-4-28 is their lowest of the season so far. So in wet conditions, I don't know if Lex Pesce is back down on the boundary. There is more rain coming your way, Lex, we're led to believe. What's it like as we're about to get the second half underway?
Well, I was told on the way down here the rain was done, so this is terrible news, but the wind has completely died off, as I said before. Let's hope the rain stays away. For now, it's not here.
I think on Mick's radar it's 50-50, whether we get it or it misses, so we all know what we're cheering for.
I don't know who to believe anymore.
So Bailey Smith was a late out through hamstring tightness, and Gary Ablett's in the house this afternoon as well. Geelong lead by 7 points as we get the second half underway with Lauren Borden.
It's Stanley and Witts in the ruck. It'll be a clearance, though, for the Suns inside 50 from Anderson. Bounces right in the path of Humphreys, who picks it up for the Cats, hand pass to O'Sullivan. And he can just kick it across to Atkins, who works Rowell off beautifully and takes the mark. Kicks towards Close, who can hand pass across to a running Dempsey. They're moving the footy quickly now, the Cats. His kick doesn't come off his boot very well. It'll bounce a couple of times before going out of bounds. Inside the forward 50 for Geelong for a throw-in.
Very quick ball movement by the Cats. That's what they love to do on this ground, is get that ball in the front 50, and players hug the boundary. They're not worried about marking inside the fence, and they practice all night, or all day these days.
So the ball will be tossed back inside 50. Witts tries to go on his hands and knees, the big ruck to pull it out. O'Connor's in there for the Cats, and he's dived on top of, and it'll be a ball up 30 metres outside from the goal, kicking towards the Barwon River side end of Cardinia Park in the third quarter. Switz taps it away. Manor can pull it. He's holding on to it. And he's pulled in again. So another stoppage inside forward 50 for the Cats as they look to move further ahead than the 7 points they currently lead by.
Thrown up, Stanley wins down the tap, straight to Bodie Yulin, who kicks straight towards the boundary line. That's out of bounds on the full. And Geelong will take the free kick at right half forward. Lawson Humphreys to take it.
Why not miss by a metre? Because it would have made the umpire have to make a decision. It's better than going up the ground where Geelong had a lot of numbers.
Manor offers a lead. Humphreys looking deeper than that. He can't get it to Reece Stanley, and Yulin takes the juggling mark 15 metres out from his defensive goal. So Tom Stewart is all on his own in the back half, Mick.
Again.
So Chris Scott is getting his witch in the coach's box against Damien Hardwick as Yulin looks out towards half back. That's a great kick, which finds Closey.
Yeah, I don't understand how, the rules have changed, clearly. He took the mark, got grabbed, so he couldn't play on. Here I'm thinking there's a free kick in there.
Humphreys from half back, kicks up towards Ben King. It clears him off the hands of Ben Long and goes out of play for a boundary throw in into the Reg Hickey stand. Geelong by 7 points. Earlier Sydney winners by 44 points over the Tigers. And GWS and Port Adelaide still to come from the nation's capital. Won't be cold tonight. That's our next stop on ABC Sport.
They've got 6 forwards now, so and you'll notice at this stoppage, Geelong have got a winger sitting right back in front of that 6, so that gives them that coverage thereafter.
Stanley tapped it down towards Rowell, who was pulled around in a 360. That's holding the footy, free kick Geelong. It's O'Connor that wins the ball just backwards of centre wing, Hickey side stand of the ground. Holds onto the ball. He's got De Koning in defensive 50 if he wants to retreat, but instead to decides to put a fair bit on the kick to left half forward for the Cats. A Packle form, Collins at the front, 2 hands to it, pushes it out of bounds for a boundary throw in. So weatherman at the back of the box, Joel Peterson, has said there's a big rain band from the northwest that has a gap over it, so there shouldn't be any rain in the second half. So that's Lex. If it does start raining in the second half, it's all on Joel. You know who to blame.
Joel, understood.
This is looking like a bit Australia versus Japan, isn't it, at the moment? Nothing's happening until maybe the 90th minute. We might get something.
Maybe extra time in the fourth quarter, we might get something as the ball is tossed in. It is wet outside, and it's clearly that footy has wrapped up his rail again, and O'Connor holds on to him for a ball up out of side.
It's called a winter sport, and it's going to rain. So you've got to get used to it and make do with what you've got.
Unless it's in Tasmania, where they don't want it to rain on their stadium. As Holmes takes it, he pushes the kick out to left half forward. It just bounces over the boundary line. And we'll have a throw in. It's Geelong ahead by 7 points on ABC Sport. Lex Pesce on the boundary.
Have we thought about a roof on this stadium?
Don't mention the roofs of stadiums. It's been a tough weekend for the Tasmanians as the AFL team sits in the hands of the politicians as it's thrown back into play. Geelong leading by 7 points. It's worked down in the end by Reece Stanley. In fact, it was Mark Splitzab, so he's in front of Witts with the headband. It spills out the way of Tyson Stengel. Tries to get a hand pass to Max Holmes at left half forward. Inside 50, Eulens dropped the mark. It spills Dangerfield's way. He's tackled by Collins. Hand pass comes out to Manor. Couldn't take it cleanly. Dan Rioli taps it boundary side. Stengel swoops in. Can't take it cleanly. Manor tries to knock it out. It bounces off the boot of Will Powell, and across the boundary line it goes, but along the ground, not in the air. So the Gold Coast Suns haven't ever won here at Kardinia Park. They've lost their last 7 encounters to the Cats here. Their last one was against the Bombers back in COVID times in 2021. There's a question coming through on the SMS 0437 774 774 about whether Damien Hardwick would have coached here, given the Tigers don't often come down to Kardinia Park. This one will have to dive into the record books as the umpire will ball it up once more. Fiorini can't break clear.
He may well have, because of COVID, played down here.
Or else Richmond wouldn't normally come up here, would they? As Ewan just clears the kick right into the centre of Kardinia Park. Henry goes back to take a mark, was taken high by Walter, and he'll get the free kick.
And when I say I will dive into the stats, Joel's going to dive into the stats for me.
Any other questions we can throw him? As Henry takes it, and he goes backwards towards Stewart. So no score yet in this third term. We played 5.5 minutes, and it is Geelong ahead by 7 points as the Cats defenders work it around the back. O'Sullivan shares it with Stewart. He kicked forward towards O'Connor, and there's plenty of pink jumpers of the Gold Coast Suns around it. Holman gets the hand pass out to Swallow. He puts the hand pass in front of a running Anderson, who can flick it across to Miller. Will put the kick inside 50. He needs his teammate to run onto it, and Humphrey, who marks, hand passes it across to Walter, walks it in for a goal for the Suns.
Good play. Really, really strong play, good running play. The only way you break through a back line like that is to run the football. There was one hand pass that was under pressure. The others were you'd call them AFL moderate pressure. Geelong did everything right, had to go up the play with the football, but they run out of players, and they even run out of player in the goal square where Walter was able to run into an open goal because of the ball. Was it Rioli that kicked that football?
Humphreys who got it forward.
Humphrey, who kicked the football to? Was it Humphrey? Was it so?
Miller
to Humphreys. Yeah.
Yeah. So the ball, they had a Geelong. They had one player in front of Geelong all the way through, which is very unusual. But the reason why that happened is Geelong were on the fly and turned the ball over to a bit of a muck ball, and they lost control.
Just 1 point in it. Geelong ahead by that sole point.
The Suns have not led at any stage of this afternoon as Toot Miller gets the clearance of the Suns, kicks up towards Fiorini, who takes the mark. In fact, to Flanders, who takes the mark at half forward. Veers onto his right, kicks in the direction of Humphreys, over the back. Ben Long tried to fly. Down at ground level, it's picked up by Holmes. Hand pass to Jack Henry. His kick is smothered by Humphreys and goes out of play. Left half forward for the Gold Coast Suns. Geelong lead by a point.
It's good pressure by Humphrey there, just kept at it, affected this tackle, and then was able to get onto the smother as well, instead of allowing Geelong just an easy exit outside their D50. Gold Coast have another opportunity to go inside forward 50.
At this throw in right below our commentary spot, so we can see Holmes is alongside Rao as it comes down to the front. Ted Closey is there scrapping against Flanders, and the umpire will ball it up with Closey on the bottom of the pack. Mark O'Connor is there as well. Geelong defensive tagger at times. He's alongside Noah Anderson. As it's thrown up, Stanley wins down the tap. It's gathered by Sam Closey, who jams back for the Gold Coast Suns inside 50. Jack Henry flies from behind and reaches over the top of Ben Long and spoils it out of play for a throw-in. Left forward pocket for the Cats for the Suns at the Joel Selwood stand in. It's Geelong who lead by a point.
It's not Tom Stewart coming over the top. It's Jack Henry. Every time there's a high ball that goes inside Gold Coast forward 50, one of those two is affecting a spoil.
With a little tap down, it only gets as far as Humphreys of the Cats. He puts the kick right inside the forward square, the centre square, as Dangerfield went with two hands to try and mark it. He drops it at the last second. Lombard takes it for the Suns. His hand pass will be intercepted by Blitzarves. Hand pass to Humphreys, hand pass backwards towards Guthrie, who can weave his way past his opposition player right and kick it and put the kick right into the centre of Kardinia Park to Dangerfield. Hand pass to Holmes, a nice little kick will find Ted Closey, and here's a couple of kicks from home for the Cats. Just dabs the ball beautifully inside 50 to Duncan.
Great transition again. Sorry, Loz. They're just finding space. Geelong, when they go fast through the middle of the ground like that, moving the ball by foot, which is their DNA, and then just the hard-working or hard-running Duncan just worked himself into the space.
The sub coming on from Shannon Neal in the second quarter, gets his hands on the footy, swings the kick right to the top of the goal square. It'll be punched through to the line by Brad Close in the end. So just a minor score for the Cats. That extends their lead to 2 points. We've played 9 minutes in the third term. It's Saturday footy on ABC Sport.
As Powell brings the Suns back into play, works it to the back pocket where John Noble takes the mark. The former Magpie having once more a great season for the Gold Coast Suns. He kicks them up towards Walter at half-back. Jack Henry with a big fly. Off balance as he couldn't get both hands to it. It's tucked out across the boundary line by Max Holmes for a boundary throw-in.
He's got a good ride then, didn't he? Went up on the right shoulder with his left knee and completely missed the ball clinchy, but would have been spectacular had he have reeled that one in.
And Tom Stewart have been dominant for Geelong. They lead by 2 points as it's thrown back in. Stanley sharks it forward into the direction of Mark O'Connor, who's happy to see it go out of play as he protects the ball rolling across the boundary line in front of Noel Anderson for a boundary throw-in. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Kieran Peterson and Mick Moldhouse, your experts on ABC Sport. Alexa Pesher on the boundary. It's Geelong leading by 2 points as we're now 10 minutes past in the third quarter.
Rain looks to have stopped so far in Geelong as both rucks come in to meet the shallow boundary throw-in. Tapped away to Rowell, who spins around and puts it on his boot. Henry was at the back there. In the end, it's Duncan who gets some hands onto it, spills out to Henry. He hand passes it to O'Connor, who can swirl around and put a kick inside 50 as he's bumped after taking the kick, O'Connor. It'll get right to Cameron, close to goal for Geelong, and then it's pushed through over for a boundary throw-in just to the left of the left behind post.
I think it's a free kick. This was either a kick or coming in underneath the knees of the player.
I reckon Dangerfield just slid in and unfortunately took the legs of his opponent.
Well, you can't do it. That's I've been hot on that for 30 years, that rule, because I've seen players, unfortunately, almost do their career.
So it's Power with the free kick, long down. It's to Koning who can take it for Geelong. Ball gets dispossessed from him. Duncan slides in and Miller tries to steal it from his legs as he's on the turf of Kardinia Park, but it will be a ball up in the centre of the field. Geelong leading by 2 points. It's 11 minutes played in the third term.
It was 18-11, the inside 50s to Gold Coast Suns in the second quarter. It's 10-5 the way of Geelong in the third so far. Mitch Duncan, hand pass forward to Blitzhouse, almost tackled by Noble. Gets the hand pass to Myers, he's hemmed in, tries to find a chip kick up towards Cameron. Mac Andrew in front, might have had the arm pulled.
He's done it again. He is the prototype of how to stop a champion. He has got him cold. I think that's his third free kick for the day.
Playing in front of Jeremy Cameron, who's had just the 5 disposals for the match, although a chance here as the turnover from the Suns. Cameron tries to swoop onto it. Jeffrey careful not to fall onto his back. And a free kick 40 metres out from the Geelong goal. Cats faithful feel like there could have been a couple of free kicks in that passage of play which weren't coming. But they surprised me, Matt. Cats hold by a 2-point lead.
Ball tossed back in and it'll be Powell that's taken to the turf this time for a ball up.
Surprised the Cats supporters wanted a free kick.
So it's Closey now of the Cats who gets taken to the turf. Another stoppage at the top of the forward 50 for the Cats. Jeremy Cameron just with 3 disposals so far in this game, so he has been well held and not able to do much further up the ground either, as Rowell takes it from the clearance and just a long 50-metre kick into some space it'll be a couple of Geelong players working their way forward with front position De Koning and Humphreys. In the end, Lombard does well to get there first. He slides over the footy. Humphreys can pick it up for the Cats. Hand pass to O'Connor, who just chips it forward towards close, had front position on Lemons, but spills the ball over the boundary line for a throw-in. The outer side of the ground, about left half forward for the Cats. It is the home side leading by 2 points, 4-5. Geelong leading Gold Coast 4-3.
Some of your thoughts on the SMS, 0437 774 774. David and Lonnie, I told you the Tassie comments, Mick, wouldn't go through unnoticed. Come on, it's not the Tassie fans that demand a roof. It's the AFL board.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. So I know it's not Tassie people.
And also Mike in Launceston has also been in touch around the Tassie footy team as Mitch Duncan tries to break through the Holman tackle. Hand pass missed close. It's chopped off by Powell for the Suns. Gets the hand pass away to Toot Miller. Kicks out towards the wing. Ben King caught behind. And the mark is taken by Connor O'Sullivan, who marks on the wing for the Cats. Kicks up towards Myers. Had to wait underneath it a long time. And charging across, it's seen out of play. And Joel Jeffrey, who just landed a little awkwardly there. Players come in to offer support, and a boundary throw in at right half forward for the Cats. Geelong leading by 2 points. 4-5-29 to the Suns at 4-3-27. Just one goal so far in this third term through the Suns.
Stanley and Witts come forward towards the boundary throw in. Atkins will get the clearance, puts it inside 50, looking for Dempsey. It's Dangerfield that runs onto it. Hand pass across to Manor. He'll snap towards goal and he'll miss to the near side. A little bit of excitement for the Geelong fans at the Barwon River end of the ground, but it's just for a minor score. Geelong's lead extends to 3 points. 14 minutes played in this third term on ABC Sport.
Deserved a much better finish than what it got. Really clean Dangerfield below his knees. Needed to take more time, Manor.
Back Andrew brings the Suns back into play. Changed his mind and veers out to left half back. His kick has no mark claimed, and then they scrap for it with Closey wrestling for the footy with Holman, and the umpire will ball it up. Mark O'Connor came over the top as well. So just inside the 50 for Geelong, leading by 3 points. Blitzouts tries to drop it down to the advantage. Ted Closey, he can't do so, and Flanders is on the bottom of the pack.
Great test for Gold Coast. Geelong are really pressing, really pressing.
Inside 50s all of a sudden 19-7 the way of the Cats. As Noah Anderson gets it from the stoppage. Hand pass away to Matt Rowell, who links up with Flanders. Gives it back to Rowell, almost run down in the end by Tom Atkins. Dribbles a kick up the wing. Walter comes out and ricochets off above his knee and goes out for a throw-in. As the Suns players are lining up to come back in. Yes, Mike's comment in Launceston on the SMS 0437774774. Love your comments, Mick. Footy is a winter sport. Yes to the AFL team. No to a roof.
I agree. Everyone else from grassroots all the way up plays in the rain and the wind, so maybe why not do it without a roof down in Tasmania? But there's a lot to play out in that one as the ball's tossed back in. And it's a scrap on the turf here after all that rain where it's wet and hard to pick up a greasy footy. Plenty of players diving in on top of it. The umpire realises that it's going nowhere. It's Dangerfield and Atkins get up from the bottom of the pack for a ball up on the AFL logo. Centre wing broadcast side of the ground comes down to Atkins. It's a holding free kick going the way of the Cats. And it'll come back to Atkins. To Atkins out of St Joseph's. One of the many players who's stuck around the area to play for the Cats. Just chips it across to Duncan. Moves it across to Mullen. The Irishman hand pass across to De Koning. He'll just chip the kick inside to the forward pocket looking for Dempsey. Got two hands to it. Hit the turf though before it came to him. Lemons takes it. Close takes him to the turf. And the umpire will call holding the footy.
Yep, perfect tackle. Tackled him. He had one arm on the ball. You've got to make an attempt. I know it's difficult, but you know you're supposed to be able to kick it.
Closest hand pass to Myers, trying to chip a ball to Manor. It wouldn't have been 15 and sport out of play. Will Powell and a boundary throw in the left forward pocket for Geelong. A throw in with the Cats leading by 3 points, heading to the players stand in this third quarter. Saturday footy on ABC Sport. Thrown back in. Mac Andrew doing the ruck work, wins down the tap, sharks it forward. Wilson Humphreys lays the tackle and Leo Lombard can't break clear.
Do you not have a ruckman then, Matt?
I don't think so. I think Jeremy Cameron nominated late because Reece Stanley wasn't there, which allowed Mac Andrew to win it uncontested. This time Stanley sharks it down, got it to Manor, who knocked it on. To Dempsey inside 50, Stengel in front. The quick kick inside 50 works for the Cats, and Tyson Stengel playing in front. Takes the mark in the left forward pocket, and a chance for him to go back and to kick his second goal of the night.
I was just about to call it. We haven't spoken a lot about Ollie Dempsey tonight. That was only his 9th touch. He's been relatively unimpactful, if that's the right way to say that, Loz, but right on cue, gets a quick touch on the footy, and he could become really important for Geelong down this stretch. He's got that X factor about him, makes things happen, so keep an eye on him.
It's been a quiet match for Jeremy Cameron and for Patrick Dangerfield. They're looking for their small forward, Tyson Stengel, to step up from the left forward pocket. Stengel comes in and kicks his second. And Geelong stretch the lead once more, back out to 9 points. A goal apiece so far in this third quarter. The Cats 5-6-36 to the Suns 4-3-27. 18 minutes gone on ABC Sport. The thoughts of Mick Malthouse and Karen Peterson.
Well, it's just an arm wrestle. In all honesty, there's little breaks like that. The Gold Coast ruckman was at Mac Andrew at the time. Yep. He left his run too late to get there, so he couldn't contest the football really. He got up there, but the ball had already been hit. Geelong had a clear player. Stengel playing in front was good hands. The ball is a little bit greasy, not too bad, but you play in front on days like this. It's just you've got to have a good layer in front and a layer behind in case it does slip over the back. But there's a lesson there for a young ruckman. You've got to be right up on body.
Tyson Stengel kicks 2 goals for the third week in a row. Is from the middle at Swallow that can take it for the Suns and kick the Suns right to right half forward, but Humphries sits back there and intercepts for Geelong. Just chips it across to Holmes, who's standing at centre half back for Geelong. He's got O'Sullivan short, but wants to go long to a running Duncan. It's a perfectly weighted pass, and Duncan will mark. Centre wing, broadcast side of the ground, puts the kick into the forward pocket. He wants Cameron to run onto it. O'Connor's there for support, and in the end, Cameron runs it right over out of bounds for a throw-in. So it'll be a throw-in just at the top of the 50 for the Cats. They're leading by 9 points now. Stengel's kicked the most recent 2 goals for the Cats with a Walter goal wedged in the middle of them as the tap comes out from Stanley. It goes right towards Ted Closey, who's playing against his brother Sam today. And was a late in as well for Bailey Smith, who was out late for Geelong.
Thrown up. Stanley wins down the tap against Mac Andrew inside 50. Manor kept it alive to Stengel. He jags it back towards the goal. Ollie Dempsey works his way to the front. Couldn't hang on to the mark. No free kick. It's picked up by Lemons. Gets the hand pass away to Jeffrey. Can they run their way to defence? Hand pass to Fiorini. Back to Jeffrey at right half back. He drives a kick up towards the wing where Ben Long was shoved out of it, and the umpire spotted that.
Totally.
Free kick going the Suns' way on the wing.
He can't move it too far because Geelong have got the numbers back. So he's going to have to... There's a goal on the taking here for the Gold Coast if they just use their brains.
Against Jack Henry as Humphries kicks up inside 50. Ben King's had a quiet match. He gave away the free kick with a shove there.
Yeah, just silly play. That's the one they need to bring to ground. All he had to do was just hold his ground.
Tom Stewart will take the free kick for Geelong in the back pocket. Switches back to the defensive goal square. Kicks to Mitch Duncan. And then out to the right back pocket where Jack Martin takes the mark. Former Gold Coast Suns player in blue, making his debut for the Cats this afternoon. Back inside defensive 50 to Duncan. Switches it out to Humphries at left half back. The Cats trying to move the pieces as the kick up towards Holmes. He's spoiled out of play by David Swallow and a boundary throw in.
I reckon it's just about time for the Gold Coast to make a sub. And
Leo Lombard?
Well, he hasn't defended the ball well. I think he's kicked a goal, but his defensive work and staying on his feet and in the contest hasn't been really elite.
He was
subbed out right on the money.
Subbed out of the game last week as well, about 3/4 time, so he could be spot on there, Mick.
We'll get down to Lex in a moment as the ball's just tossed in. Duncan hand passes away to Myers. Little chip kick forward. It's good towards Manor, who marks ahead of Rioli. He swivels around and darts the kick inside 50. Cameron straight through his hands. That doesn't often happen to Cameron. Holmes on the end of it will sock it towards goal, and he's crashed it into the left goal post. So we're behind in the end for the Cats. The margin extended to 10 points. It's 5-7 playing 4-3. Lex Pesce on the boundary.
It is Leo Lombard who's come off as the sub for the Suns. I believe it's tactical, and Ben Ainsworth will enter the game.
Well, I can totally understand it. I just thought he's let them down a few times in the one-on-one contest.
Suns bring it back into play. Bodie Ullin long up to the wing. No mark claimed. Holmes gathers. Hand pass to Ted Closey. Tackled and gets a hand pass forward looking for Dempsey. Getting back here's Fiorini. Can't break the tackle and the umpire will ball it up.
Jeremy Cameron's just out of touch, isn't he?
Well, he's got a player on him that's not giving him any room.
Well, the last 2 possessions that have gone anywhere near him, they've gone straight through his fingertips as well. So he's not clean with the ball at the moment, and he's just not finding any space whatsoever.
In his last 3 weeks, Jeremy Cameron, he's kicked 5 goals, 6 goals and 7 goals. So footy can always be a great level at the top level. 3 weeks you're on fire, and the next week you can't get a kick with you.
He was well held for the first 3 quarters last week as well, and probably overinflated his performance, what happened in the 4th term, but he just looks out of touch at the moment.
A bit of a discussion here as to whether
he's come off his boot. That's the argument. The boundary umpires, it's got to be the boundary umpire's call. Can't be a central umpire's call there.
Brayden Fiorini has won the argument and has come off the Geelong boot, and he'll get the free kick at left half back. With the Cats leading by 10 points as he kicks up towards the wing. Witt's in front position, can't reel in the one-handed mark. It spills the way of Guthrie, who's locked up by David Swallow. And a ball up on the broadcast wing.
There's not a lot of movement for both sides, is it? It's just like a real trench warfare.
So kick comes out towards Flanders. He taps it down. It's straight to Holmes, though, who kicks towards Myers, who rises up, takes the ball at its highest point and the mark, and then plays on. His kick was looking for Dempsey, he was running backwards, and so that meant that it allowed Fiorini to come in and intercept the footy for the Suns.
If King's going to get in the game, he's got to come up the line. He's up there now. He's got to contest this ball in the air, so it does hit the ground if he can't mark it. Not give Geelong. There it is. That's where it's got to be.
So Fiorini went in the King direction, just got a fingertip on it to bring it to ground. Henry's there to pick it up for the Cats. Hand pass to O'Connor, shoves it on his boot to get it inside 50 for the Cats. Bounce doesn't favour Stengel. Collins is in there to grab the footy, and then he's wrapped up by Cameron, and the umpire will cross his arms for a ball up. So 40 metres out from Geelong's goal. The ball will be tossed up. It's the Cats leading by 10 points, a goal apiece in this 3rd term.
King would be better playing high into this quarter.
Yep. 15-5, the inside 50s this quarter Geelong's way. Witts comfortably wins down the tap, but straight to Holmes. He kicks towards the teeth of goal, but no one there for Geelong. And Bodie Ulan takes the mark. Switches out to the back pocket. Sam Closey marks, gets the hand pass away to Jeffrey. Chips it around the boundary line up to Dan Rioli. How many disposals has Dan Rioli had this afternoon? It's a relatively quiet afternoon by his standards.
It's up to 10, Clinchy.
10 as the Suns work it up. The kick towards Walter. Can't take the mark. Holman front and centre. Kicks to Ainsworth. The sub spoiled away by Reece Stanley. The ruckman got back but couldn't pick up the footy. Stuck at his bootlaces. Henry dives in and lays the tackle. And the footy is stuck underneath he. And also Ben Ainsworth, and the umpire will ball it up. So Leo Lombard subbed out for Ben Ainsworth. Shannon Neal out in the 2nd quarter with an ankle injury. And Mitch Duncan coming in.
All falls behind the rocks. Duncan has a go at it. Then Witts can tap it towards Holmes. He's taken down to the turf by Witts, and it's a high tackle. Free kick Cats.
Well, the last bloke you want tackling him is Witts, because if you've got to be high, it's going to be high. You can't bend to get low.
And it's Max Holmes who's coming up for disposal number 29 at the moment.
Yeah, he's probably the best player.
Really came into the game in that 2nd quarter, and then it's been the top player for the Cats since then. Flares it out towards O'Sullivan, who's in the right back pocket. Long kick comes towards Dempsey, who rises high. Yulan comes in and affects the mark, then dives on top of Dempsey, who's gone after the footy. Ball spills out to Flanders. Hand pass to Anderson, will curl the ball around the boundary. He won't keep it in. It'll be out of bounds on the full. And a free kick going to the Cats. It's Geelong 5-7-37. Gold Coast 4-3, 26 minutes played in the 3rd term on ABC Sport.
Henry back inside the defensive 50 to Tom Stewart, Nick.
Yeah, well, let's go on to Stewart, and they closed him down, which now has left the ball again. Is it Holmes again?
Where's it to Mitch Duncan on this occasion? It kicks up to Blitzavs.
Yeah.
And then gets the hand pass away to Myers off the outside of the boot. Kicks up to Stanley, bounce off his chest. Sweating onto it as Rioli takes a bounce as he runs the Hickey wing. Kicks up towards half forward. Down low for Ainsworth. Couldn't gather. Duncan sockers it off the wet deck. Up towards Dangerfield. He's tackled by Rao. Holman picks it up. Hand pass to Sam Closey. Hand pass to Dan Rioli. So getting more involved now. Kicks long inside 50. Outnumbered King 2-on-1. It's brought down by Jack Henry, providing good support to Connor O'Sullivan. Kicks into the middle of the ground. Down low for Close. Hand pass too slick for Holmes. Socket off the ground by Duncan. Got it into the middle of the ground where Powell dived onto it. Spills off from him. Dangerfield, pass 1, pass 2. Breaks the tackle. Gets the hand pass away to O'Connor. Mark O'Connor up to the 50 and Cameron marks on his chest. He's still 50 metres out from home at right half forward. And he can poke it over the top. Tyson Stengel's all on his own.
Yeah, and he's a great finisher, Stengel. So good choice by Cameron. That was good movement. Again, it was just butchered inside the front 50 for Gold Coast. King's not having an impact, so he's got to make an impact on the ball. The ball just got taken out far too easily, and now, as you say, Stengel was by himself because he did all the hard running from the through the wing. Cameron, being a team man, found him.
So the Cats are able to muscle it through the middle of the ground, through Dangerfield, through Cameron, and now Stengel looking for his third goal of the match. Out to the right, to steady for Geelong. It's a beautiful kick off the boot. The arms outstretched, and in greasy conditions, he is proving a class above. Tyson Stengel with his third, and the Cats have booted 2 goals, 3-1 in this third quarter to stretch what was a 2-point lead at one stage. Scores were level, in fact, earlier in the quarter. Now all of a sudden it's a 16-point lead. Geelong 6-7-43 to the Suns 4-3-27. Of the Cats, 6 goals. Tyson Stengel has 3. Kes Peterson and Mick Malthouse.
Geez, that was a great finish again. He's really had his kicking boots on and from pretty tight angles, but another great finish. It's felt like in the last probably 3.5, 4 minutes that the game's really opened up. It certainly hasn't been clean ball movement, but both teams have found equal amounts of space when they've been able to change the angles. And on that occasion, as Geelong come back through the middle of the ground, it was Dangerfield who's inserted himself in this clearance, or in this contest rather. Got his hands to the ball, took 3 people on and really opened it up for Geelong.
Stanley taps it down, Rao comes in, he's tackled by Dangerfield and Atkins, and it'll be a secondary ball up right in the centre of the ground. This time Stanley puts plenty as he punches it away towards O'Connor, then goes back to pick it up after it ricochets off O'Connor's chest. Punched it towards Holmes, he couldn't take it. Miller does in the end. It's a direct kick inside 50, Long's at the back, but Henry's at the front. And it's the Geelong defender that wins out to the applause of the home crowd.
Take him on, you take it on a risk between him and Stewart. They'll lay it mark you every time. Got to put the ball on the deck where they're more vulnerable.
Henry does share the ball with Stewart, who then kicks long towards Dangerfield, who rose up in the pack, couldn't take the mark. Walter has a go at it for the Suns, picked up by Blitzarves. Hand pass to Dangerfield, who runs back and then flicks it to Myers, who puts the kick towards Cameron McAndrew, was at the front. He couldn't take the intercept mark. At the back was Lemons, though, who cleaned it up for the Suns, although he's turned it over by kicking it right to Stanley, who holds onto the footy 55 metres out from the Geelong goal. Darts the kick, looking for Stengel. It was the right man to go to, but the kick didn't have enough on it, and it's Closey that intercepts for the Gold Coast and flares it out to Fiorini.
What did you say before about Ruckman trying to pinpoint something?
I stand by it. You see what I mean?
As Fiorini kicks long up the wing, Blitzow sets himself. Ben King from behind makes the spoil. Dangerfield front and centre, trying to take on the tackler, didn't get a disposal away, and now holding the ball is paid. There's an umpire 10 metres in front, Lee Fisher, who is adjudicating. And in the end, it was the umpire behind him who made the call.
That was obvious. I don't know what the umpire in front was thinking, but that was an obvious dropping the ball. Took 2 or 3 opponents on and dropped the ball cold.
So the Suns do get rewarded, and Ben King playing higher up the ground, takes the free kick, switches across half back to McAndrew. He tries a barrel on the run. It might work up towards half forward. Ben Long couldn't hang on to it. Gathers, hand pass to Ainsworth, looks inside 50, and Witts was leading out. He couldn't hang on to the mark. He and Flanders were both there, and in the end it was almost a shot on goal for the Suns, but not to be, as the 3-quarter time siren sounded. Geelong lead by 16 points, 6-7-43 to the Suns 4-3-27. The Cats led by 12 points at quarter time, by 7 at half time. Geelong had their lead cut into early in the third quarter, and the Suns drew level, but they have never led so far in this match. For Geelong, 3 of their 6 goals have come through Tyson Stengel, individuals to Atkins and to Brad Close, alongside Lawson Humphreys, while for the Suns, their goals have come through Walter, Rao, Long and King. 3-quarter time here at Cardinia Park, Geelong leading by 16 points. Earlier it was the Sydney Swans who defeated Richmond by 44 points, 11-14-80 for the Tigers, 4-12-36. James Jordan booted 3 goals for the Swans, but Dean Cox happy to snap a 2-game losing streak, with Brody Grundy getting the 3 votes in the ABC Footballer of the Year. Our next stop tonight will be Canberra. We'll take you there next. This is Saturday Footy on ABC Sport.
The ABC Listen app has it all. The British and Irish Lions Tour of Australia, Wimbledon, the World Test Championship, and West Indies versus Australia. Oh, and did I mention we're doing the footy every weekend? ABC Sport on the ABC Listen app. This is the 2025 AFL Premiership season on ABC Sport.
Ullman gets the hand pass out to Swallow. He puts the hand pass in front of a running Anderson, who can flick it across to Miller. Will put the kick inside 50. He needs his teammate to run onto it, and Humphrey, who marks, hand passes it across to Walter, walks it in for a goal for the Suns.
Really, really strong play, good running play.
This time Stanley sharks it down, got it to Manor, who knocked it on. To Dempsey inside 50, Stengel in front. The quick kick inside 50 worked for the Cats, and Tyson Stengel playing in front. Takes the mark in the left forward pocket. It's been a quiet match for Jeremy Cameron and for Patrick Dangerfield. They're looking for their small forward. Tyson Stengel to step up from the left forward pocket. Stengel comes in and kicks his second. Dangerfield, pass one, pass two, breaks the tackle, gets the hand pass away to O'Connor. Mark O'Connor up to the 50, and Cameron marks on his chest. He's still 50 metres out from home at right half forward, and he can poke it over the top. Tyson Stengel's all on his own. So the Cats are able to muscle it through the middle of the ground, through Dangerfield, through Cameron, and now Stengel looking for his third goal of the match. Out to the right, to Steady for Geelong. It's a beautiful kick off the boot. The arms outstretched. And in greasy conditions, he is proving a class above.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the AFL.
On your radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and on the ABC Listen app.
Geelong by 16 points at three-quarter time at the Cattery, 6-7-43 to the Suns 4-3-27. Matt Clinch alongside Lauren Borden calling the action. Lex Pesher is down on the boundary. Mick Moldhouse and Karen Peterson are your experts ahead of our thoughts here at Kardinia Park. Our next stop is the Giants taking on Port Adelaide from the nation's capital in Canberra, and that's where we find Aaron Bryans.
Clinchy, it is a cold night in the nation's capital. 6 degrees at the moment, ahead of a crossroads moment for both the campaigns of GWS and Port Adelaide. The Giants teetering on the edge of the 8 after an emotion-fueled win over the Tigers, and the Power, meanwhile, are kind of recharged after a week off and hoping to finally kickstart a fairy tale run back into contention. They're going to need 9 wins from their last 12 games, so it is now or never for the Power to see if they can get it done on the road. Plenty of big names coming back in, though. So Brent Daniels returns for the Giants after 2 months in the wilderness with an abdominal injury. Sava Ratugolea, Kane Farrell, Josh Sin all back for the Power, and Nick Madden makes his debut for GWS tonight. He is the academy product. He's been waiting 3 years in the wings with multiple foot injuries and dominating the VFL as well at 204 centimetres. Gets a crack tonight, the kid from Osborne, for GWS in the absence of Kieran Briggs. So plenty of storylines and what's going to be a tough night for the players out in the middle, Clinchy. Hopefully a good crowd as well in the nation's capital. Can't wait for it. It's the Giants and the Power up next on ABC Sport. Jason Saddington and Joel Patfull, your experts to come.
Thanks, Ads. Very much looking forward to that. Yeah, had my own experience on Monday in the nation's capital calling the Matildas. It is cold there, so looking forward to listening to the coverage as we make our way home from Geelong. The Cats leading by 16 points here. The thoughts of Karen Peterson and Mick Moldhouse as to what is going to take place in this final term. Who knows, Mick and Kez?
Well, yeah, I reckon I do know.
All right, enlighten me.
Well, I just think that Geelong, they've answered everything. And it's one of the first times I've seen Gold Coast live and this year, and I've been really disappointed in their ball movement. I just think that it's easy to do it on your home ground when you're probably expected to win. It's when you've got to come up against a Geelong side. As you said, they haven't won here ever, so the ground clearly holds some problems, and it's a cigar shape, so therefore, yes, it does trap sides. But the running that I've seen so far has been really good for about 30 to 40 metres. They get a couple of hand passes across, and then the next piece of the delivery is atrocious. It's either high, they go back into play, they get trapped because Geelong are able to defend this ground so well. You don't have to spread as far, so therefore the back line will just move across in your line. Then you've got to come back inside, and it takes really quality players to be able to find that target when they're running with that football. They're not out of it, but they'll need 2 really quick goals, and I mean really quick goals, because they only had, in that quarter, they had 69 possessions. That is one of the lowest in the competition in any quarter. 69 means you're not getting your hands on the football. Yes, there's a lot of stoppages and that sort of stuff, but they're not winning that. They're certainly not winning inside 50, and they're getting beaten as far as yards go. So to keep the ball away from the big boys in the back half, you've got to move the ball much quicker than what they are, and this is where King's got to stand up and either impose himself or at least bring it to the ground. I don't know That's where I'm at.
He's getting frustrated, isn't he, King? They've only had 2 marks inside forward 50 for the whole game, Gold Coast, so they need to find a way to get a possession inside forward 50.
Final quarter underway. Stanley one down the tap, but it's Noah Anderson who gets it to Toot Miller. Kicks inside 50. No mark claim. Where Connor O'Sullivan gets a hand pass out into the direction of Lawson Humphries. He's bumped off it by Toot Miller. Where Humphries hard against the boundary. A centering ball for the Suns. Looking for Ben King. It's over him. Holman at the back. He shoved his opponent underneath, and the non-officiating umpire spotted it. A free kick going the way of Zach Guthrie in the right back pocket for Geelong. Geelong leading by 16 points.
It would have been the second mark inside the front 50. That's almost diabolical.
Guthrie kicks very close to the boundary line. Sam Closey flies in front. And it goes across the boundary line with Ollie Dempsey right there competing with him in the air.
And Matt, you did say 1 mark inside the front 50.
That's 2.
2
to 9.
So you don't win a lot of games because you're having to run onto the ball. You have to snap shots. It's and that's the art of Geelong's way they play here. They don't let you have easy possessions in the front half.
Connor with distance on the kick, and Mac Andrews takes it out of bounds for a throw-in on the outer side of the ground. So the last time these two sides met, of course, was up in Darwin, and the Suns kicked the highest score in their history when they kicked 26-8, 164 to Geelong 15-10, 100. So we're a little bit,
wasn't it?
Yeah, we're a little bit far off that, aren't we, at the moment? Kez 6-7-43 playing 4-3-27 in wet conditions at Cardinia Park. Geelong ahead by a game-high 16 points as the ball bobbles its way back out of bounds, just slightly closer towards the Geelong goal, kicking towards the Selwood stand end in this final term.
Mick nailed it though. Ben King is the one. He was starting to get frustrated. He's only had 3 touches for the whole game, getting frustrated, giving away free kicks. So he just needs to rein that in, work his opponent around the forward 50, find some space and take a couple of marks. He needs to kick probably 10 goals to get anywhere close to that score in Darwin, Laws, I reckon.
Yeah, well,
that's positive.
You play for another 10 quarters.
So Closey was wrapped up on the turf, ball up, right half forward for the Cats. Stanley will pull it out, hand pass it right towards Closey though, who takes it, puts it on his boot, plenty of distance on the kick, bounces over the top of Henry, who had front position. Clever tap from O'Sullivan to get it back to Henry, and he just chips it towards Holmes, who'll mark inside the boundary line, coming up for his 30th touch.
He was instrumental in that third term for Geelong, had 12 touches. It's up to what must be 30 for the whole game, Loz.
Next highest possession getter with 20 for Geelong. As it's through Tom Stewart, who kicks out towards Lawson Humphries. Can't take the mark. Bailey Humphries brings it down. Ainsworth front and centre. The sub into the action for Leo Lombard in the third quarter. Hand pass to Fiorini, close to the boundary line. Kicks up towards Ben King.
That was better. Worked his way to the front.
And comes up the ground. Don't get locked into the 20-yard area. All over you.
It wasn't a mark inside 50. But they have had just 2 for the match as Ben King puts it in the direction of Walter. Big fly on the back as Stewart can't come down with the mark. Front and centre, Ben Long couldn't get boots of ball. Spills out the way up close. Shovels a hand pass out to the boundary line to Koning. Hand pass away to Max Holmes. High up and under kick towards half-back. Manor against 2. Whistle for a hold, and it's going... Which way is it going, umpire? It's going Geelong's way. So the free kicks are 21 against the Gold Coast Suns, 19 against the Cats, and yet it feels like a lot of the Gold Coast ones have happened in their forward half.
Dempsey looked absolutely bewildered why that was his free kick in the end.
Takes it anyway and puts it towards Stanley. Mac Andrew can tap it down. And Close picks it up for the Cats. Hand pass to Manor, who just chips it backwards towards Guthrie. Spills the mark, but has time to collect. And then dab the kick across to Stengel at front position. Couldn't take the mark, just spills it out of bounds for a boundary throw-in.
So there's nothing's changed that you can see. We've been going 3 of the 20 minutes, and something has had to have happened for the Gold Coast to get back in this, and something should have been a goal to get back. Otherwise, this will just dribble out to be a comfortable victory by Geelong.
Litzarves tries to push it away, and Rao cleverly soccers it across into the centre of the ground, but Dempsey's there to push it away towards Humphries of the Cats. Flares it out wide towards Holmes, who takes the footy. Centre wing, outer side of the ground.
Just killing them with pace at the moment. The way that he explodes away from contest, puts 20-30 metres into his opponent and finds so much space.
Puts plenty of distance on the kick as well, looking for Dangerfield over the top of his head. It'll skid towards Closey, who Dangerfield tackles to keep inside the playing field. And the umpire will come and throw the ball up very, very close to the boundary line. 45 metres out from the Cats' goal. It'll be a ball up. Cats ahead by 16, 5 minutes played in the final term on ABC Sport.
Which goes up uncontested, wins down the tap, but it's straight to Stengel of Geelong. His kick is smothered by Rouse. Some desperation there. And the ball goes out of play for a throw-in. And the 50-metre up meets the boundary.
Well, you're not going to win games with Geelong having an extra player and a winger, a back and a winger sitting behind the ball. That really is just saying, well, we're going to be beaten by 3 or 4 goals. We don't want to be beaten by 6 or 7 goals.
Mick Malthouse with you on ABC Sport as Witts wins down the tap for the Suns to Rao from half back into the middle of the ground. Stewart waiting for that kick. Coney makes the spoil in front. Ben King gathers, tackle by Henry. And the umpire will ball it up. Legs pressure on the boundary. The wet weather seems to have cleared for the moment.
I knew I liked Joel. He's never been wrong.
That's allowed both sides to be a little more attacking in this final term, but so far yet to have the first goal of the final term. It's from the stoppage. It spills down the way of O'Shea Mullen, who gathers it right half back, sends Geelong back up the wing. Underneath it, Bodie Ullin with support from Mac Andrew. Got hands to it to Powell. Tackled by Dangerfield. Hand pass in the middle of the ground for Manor. He's locked up as Jeffrey lays the tackle on him, and the umpire will circle once more. Geelong by 16 points. 6 minutes gone in the final term on ABC Sport.
Holmes, the leading disposal getter on the ground with 32. His career high is 33. He's got a couple of times, so he's looking to surpass that today. As from the stoppage, it's Fiorini with a long kick right to the top of 50. It's a big clash here from Stanley and Long, who clattered into each other as they were going back towards the flight of the footy. Both have pulled up sore. Long, maybe a little sorer than Stanley.
Hasn't done enough tonight, Long. He's a good player, really good player for them, but just hasn't really hit. Well, he hasn't hit the scoreboard, I don't think.
No, he's got 1 goal, 6
Oh, that's right, from the
10
10-yard square. Yeah, a 50-metre penalty. But there's just been who is their best forward? There isn't a best forward down there. Well, Stengel clearly is the best forward on the ground.
Manor going in after it from the stoppage at centre wing. Can just kick it towards Holmes, who will take a bounce and run down the outer side of the ground. It's a second bounce. He gets a hand pass away for his 33rd touch towards Dangerfield. He'll kick from 55 metres out towards Dempsey in the pocket, who marks. A perfect kick, and Dempsey in his bright pink boots holds on to the mark and will snap to put Geelong even further in front.
It's wonderful, wonderful forward craft. Just held his position and released his opponent at the right time, protect the drop zone. Was able to take a pretty easy mark in the end, but it was because of his body strength and the way that he held his position.
Dempsey snaps around, easily puts it through, and it'll be difficult for the Gold Coast Suns to come back from this one. Geelong has pushed out to a 22-point lead, 8 minutes played in this fourth term. It's the Cats 7-7-49, the Suns 4-3-27. Geelong ahead by 22 points. Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Your experts, Karen Peterson and Mick Malthouse.
Again, it was Max Holmes just on that outside far wing from the broadcast position, but he just again found the space, and he's prepared to run and carry on a night that would be a bit sodden underfoot for sure, even though the rain has stopped at the moment. He's prepared to have a run and a bounce. He drew an opponent. Dangerfield was in the right spot, and I'm not sure Dangerfield meant to kick it to Dempsey. He kicked it across the face of goal. I reckon he was trying to have a ping, but Dempsey was just able to read the flight of the ball better than anyone else, hold his ground, and a terrific finish around the corner.
And you've only kicked 4 goals to the final quarter. It's going to make it hard for the Suns as Geelong work it forward once more. Myers tries to get the hand pass forward. And Matt Rowell lays the tackle on Ted Closey, trying to charge his way through.
Yeah. Stanley's done a terrific job on Witts too.
Tap comes down and Blitzavs is able to soccer it forward into some space at left half forward. Dangerfield can't run onto it. Little toe poke in the end from Jeffrey. Close races after it. Lost it, dispossessed. Matt Rowell tries to get down low. He's tackled on the ball, stuck underneath him. Have you seen the midfield of the Suns, Kez, with Matt Rowell having had 18 disposals, Tuke Miller with 18 and Noah Anderson with 17?
Well, they've been okay, but they're just starting to get... It's more the defensive transition that's probably let them down. I thought the contest with Atkins and Rowell's been a really fascinating one. I'd probably give the chocolates to Atkins at the moment just because of the way that he's been able to basically keep Rowell influential for most of the game as Stewart comes away in the middle of the ground again.
A free kick for a hold on Jack Martin, and Geelong take the advantage through the middle of the ground. Myers looks out to right half forward, kicks out to Duncan. This is where you want him, inside 50. Kick bounces off the chest of Ollie Dempsey. Manor gathers, tackled and brought down by Lemons. Ball spills out close to the boundary line, and Duncan takes it across, throwing it right half forward.
And what I mean by that, Clinchy, is it's like someone in that group has to recognise the impact that Holmes is having on the game, and probably should have happened 2 quarters ago, to be fair, but I would have loved someone in that midfield group to go, I'm going to take responsibility for him, for the next possession and hand over and try and limit his influence on the game. But, they've got their hands on the ball, but just haven't, their inside 50 kicks have been really ordinary, to be honest.
And Holmes grabs the footy, hand passes it to Manor, who'll put Geelong inside 50. It wasn't a clean kick for any of his teammates, and in the end it's Joel Jeffrey who takes the mark. Sliding in and can flare it out wide to Andrew.
Just having a look, Toot Miller's been alongside Max Holmes. He just can't go with him.
No.
He doesn't have the ability.
Not a chance. Not a chance. Damien Hardwick really may have to reassess if he wants to play top-line football. They're in the final. They're in the 8. And maybe that's because of who they've played. But to go against I'll call them the big boys, you have to have up your sleeve a tagging player. You take Holmes out of this becomes a different game.
It is a big away game for the Suns as Fiorini takes it out and the ball will bounce inside 50. It's Jack Henry just sitting at the back there for the Cats, as he has done all game, who can flare it out wide to Lawson Humphries. Just outside defensive 50, he chips it forward to Jack Martin in his first game for the Cats. Played a couple of games in the VFL, now in the AFL side, chips it out towards Duncan, who moves the ball forward to Brian Myers, who's still about 70 metres out from goals. He just chips it to find Manor. So they're edging towards goals, the Cats here, until Manor darts a kick inside 50, looking for Cameron. Closey at the footy. He was tackled by Dempsey without it. And it'll be a free kick for the Suns. It'll be a ball up. It'll be a ball up in the end. So Closey just held on to it, and it will be a ball up inside Geelong's attacking 50, leading by 22.
Wits wins down the tap for the Suns. Dempsey tries to throw a boot at it. Spills out the way of Matt Rowell. He's tackled by Dempsey and Sean Manor, and over the boundary line. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Lex Pesce down on the boundary. Kes Peterson and Mick Moldhouse, your experts on ABC Sport. Our next stop is Canberra for the Giants, taking on Port Adelaide. As our coverage of round 13 of the AFL continues. King's birthday, of course, on Monday. The big freeze. Fight him indeed as Mac Andrews sockers it forward for the Suns, but straight out to Close. Kicks into the pocket looking for Dempsey. It's wide of him and Manor. And goes out of play in the right forward pocket at the Joel Selwood stand in for Geelong. Cats leading by 22 points. Inside 50 so far in this quarter. 6-4 the way of Geelong.
Carson Stengel, the only multiple goal kicker across both sides tonight, with 3 goals for the Cats, who lead by 22 points. Ball tossed in, Noble chasing after it as it goes back out of bounds in the same place where it was just tossed in.
We've gone almost a quarter and a half, and we've seen the Gold Coast kick one goal.
Yep.
One goal, just one goal. And it's not because they've been comprehensively beaten around the ball, but they're getting the ball inside the front 50. They just don't know how to handle it.
Mark Andrew taps it to Rowell, gets back on his feet, hand passes it towards Anderson, stolen by O'Connor. Hand pass towards Cameron, who snaps and might have snapped this through.
I reckon he has, That's a bad miss by the Gold Coast player. I think he's almost marked it behind the line. He could have touched it. He took it on his chest. Of all things, taking it on your chest.
It was Sam Closey going back there who tried to take it on his chest. Cameron just took a couple of steps, then put the ball towards goals, as we'll have a score review to check. And it looks very clear, I think. Yep, that Closey's got 2 hands on it after it. Oh.
Wow, that's a big call first up.
So he got hands to it, but had he controlled the mark before the ball had crossed the line?
So they're getting a good point, are they?
That was a very quick decision. It looks over the line. It'll be a behind for Cameron.
So it's just a mark.
Probably should have punched it anyway, Mick. That's very good advice.
But the simple fact that we're looking at it simply means it was just too close.
Cats ahead by 23.
Sam Closey's relieved, if nothing else. He moves the Suns out of defence up towards the wing, where Witts brings it down to Fiorini. His kick is a turnover. And Lawson Humphries takes the mark for Geelong.
This is getting really ugly for Gold Coast. And I don't mean the scoreboard. I just mean the way they play. They've almost turned their toes up, I reckon. There's no... They don't want to... no one's prepared to take the ball off Geelong and do something with it. They're just allowing Geelong. We've seen them now take 49 possessions to 27. 10, what is it, inside 57? It's only 7-4.
Yeah, in this final term.
That's right, but they're not. This is how easy it is. There's a 35 metre kick, and the Gold Coast player hanging off it. Damien Hardwick would be, I reckon he'd be worried. He'd be furious, but he'd be worried about how they've gone against this side.
So the Cats are waxing it across half back. Ted Close's kick up towards half forward, and Jeffrey takes the intercepting mark. Inboard kick, never got to the intended target. David Swallow brought down by Atkins. Hand pass to Myers. Can he make them pay? Curls out on the right. Good night.
Yep.
Swings onto his right and kicks the goal. Tom Atkins with his second, and a bad turnover from the Gold Coast Suns pays the full toll, and that'll be it. Geelong with 2 goals to none in the final term to lead by 28 points. 8-7-55 to the Suns, 4-3-27. Graham Myers involved with the goal assist, and Tom Atkins able to finish. And Graham Myers kicks the goal, I should say. How often do we see that, Mick, where the Cats are able to just sweat on the mistake in the end, and the Gold Coast Suns provided it. Graham Myers did the rest.
Matt, the worry, as I said, there's other than scoreboard worries. There's the worries that 10 of their players have not touched the ball this quarter. Gold Coast 10 players, I think it's 10. Every player from Geelong has touched the football. The turnovers are horrendous. And if I know Richmond played that way and they set up their play that way, but right now, Gold Coast aren't Richmond.
Gold Coast looking for their first goal since the start of the third term as Rao puts them inside 50. It's DeConey who tries to clear the footy. Humphrey can pick it up and can curl one through late for the Suns. He's had a couple of shots, Bailey Humphrey. Finally is able to finish one here. Very late for the Suns. And it'll just peel the margin back to 22 points as he breaks a string of 4 straight Geelong goals. It's the Suns 5-3-33, Geelong 8-7-55. Cats with a commanding lead in this fourth term as we head down to Alexia Pesce on the boundary.
The attendance for tonight, guys, 29,502, and I think all of them are Cats fans, but pretty good numbers for a freezing night in Geelong.
So you reckon that those people with the flags and the drums, they're just dressing up as
All right, Mick, you know what I mean.
No, I'm only ever shot because I reckon they're all down there and there's 6 of them.
Exactly, all 6 of them.
So as Losme mentioned, it was 42 minutes in between goals for the Gold Coast Suns. Their last came at the 6-minute mark of the third quarter. They're next at the 17-minute mark of the final term. Back in the middle, Max Holmes, leading possession getter on the ground. Kicks inside 50. Caught behind was Mark O'Connor. Wrestles it away from Bodie Ulan. Ulan's hand pass back. Stengels onto it. He gathers in the left forward pocket and finishes with absolute class. The arms outstretched, a high five with the fans in the front row. And Tyson Stengel has had some sort of afternoon at the footy. He has been the top cat in the absence of Bailey Smith. Geelong 9-7-61 to the Suns 5-3-33. And I think how hard the Gold Coast Suns have had to work for their second goal of the half. And Geelong just make it look so easy.
Yeah, they certainly do. That's, again, another great finish from Stengel. Rolling in at full tilt. He took the responsibility, put his head down, first few steps and burst away from his opponent, and a great finish, great return from a small forward. 4 goals from 11 possessions. But you can just see the importance of the centre bounce clearance. The last 2 goals that we've seen have come directly from the centre bounce clearance. It was Rao who led to that Humphrey goal, and on that occasion it was Holmes that led to the Stengel goal. Here they go again.
So back from the middle, it'll be taken and kicked away by Closey for the Cats, who puts it out wide to Atkins, who's just happy to be seen over the line by Humphrey in the end for a throw in just in front of the interchange benches, just the right of where the Gold Coast players are coming on and off. So Rao comes off for a spell. The Suns haven't led at any point today. It's now Geelong out by 28 points as it's tossed in, and Witts tries to get a hand to it, but he can't. It's Max Holmes, who's been prolific across today's game. He turns this one over, though, by Lemons, who can pick it up at half-back for the Suns. Moves it across to Jeffrey, who'll kick inside 50 now. It'll be a mark taken right at the top of the arc to Ben Long. And Long wheels around and puts plenty of weight on the kick as he can get it to the hot spot. It's offline in the end, though, and it's just across for a minor score. So 1 behind for the Suns. Geelong's lead 27 points. We're just about to tick into red time. It's Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
One thing that we haven't really raised as well in the favour of Geelong is that Bailey Smith, we've talked about him not being there, but I think it would have been even more disastrous for the Gold Coast Suns if he had been playing. Just the way that the midfield's been completely dominated. You add a player in who's arguably been, well, we've talked about him being in the Brownlow favourite conversation at the moment. Laid out, he would have piled on the pain, I think, for the Gold Coast Suns today.
Jack Martin for the Cats, out of defence up to Myers, who wins a free kick for a free. Kicks up towards Manor, can't take the mark. Here's Max Holmes, who hasn't missed Bailey Smith as much as his Geelong teammates might have thought. The kick up towards half forward. Mac Andrew didn't deal with it. Jeremy Cameron tries to keep it alive. Collins against the boundary line. Danger, Cameron both there. Danger pulls down Andrew when he didn't have the footy. And despite Cameron's toe poke towards goal, the whistle did come. And it'll be a Gold Coast Suns free kick. So 8th time in his career, Tyson Stengel has kicked 4 goals or more. His career best is 5 against North Melbourne back in 2023. How good was it having Joel Peterson giving us some of the stats? It's made our life a lot easier. Without Jeremy Cameron and Paddy Dangerfield, as Stewart involved in a collision and going down is Noah Anderson. He is slow to rise. The kick up towards the wing. Holman in front, wrestling forward as Anderson's still down and play should be stopped here.
That was a big hit, really big hit.
Looks like he's touching his rib area.
Now, Ollie Dempsey's waving to the umpire to make sure he's aware not to throw the ball up, and eventually play will be stopped. So we will get a replay here with Noah Anderson coming one direction, Tom Stewart coming the other. And Anderson has finished off worse for wear. We are in the 21-minute mark of the final term as here we go. We get a replay here with Anderson running towards the footy, just out of reach, and Stewart down low. Makes the bump into the side, but Noah Anderson's face goes head first into the turf. What's your immediate reaction to that?
Oh, the only thing
that's a hit and shoulder.
Yeah, but he ran past the ball,
but he didn't hit him in the face. Who cares? If you don't hit him in the face when you run past the ball, you run past the ball every day and shake their hand. You can pat them on the head, as long as you don't hit them in the head. So I don't get what would he be reported for? Because he's bumped him too hard.
I think the only way he would find himself in trouble is if Anderson has a concussion here from his head hitting the ground. That might be the only. There was nothing. The bump. You're right, Mick. The bump was not in his head. It was.
Well, that'd be good to see. That won't be good to see. I'd be interested to see whether he's. Because if he's hit his head on the ground,
yeah,
it's not because he was bumped. It was because of the way he's fallen. Now, you might say, well, he's fallen because of the bump, but if he's holding his back or his rib cage, I honestly don't see how Stewart is in any strife whatsoever there.
So about 6 or 8 of the Gold Coast Suns players have gone over to Noah Anderson. The good news is he's up on his feet and he's able to run off the ground with a trainer either side, so he does look to be okay. But you're right, the bump was okay. It was then, as a result of that, Anderson's head hit the turf, and that'll be the part which will be interesting as to how Mock Christian views it.
So play restarts at centre wing. Atkins has it and he's taken in the tackle by Rao, who tapped on for Anderson when he came off, and it'll be another ball up. Witts taps it out. Humphrey pulls it in for the Suns, and then he's taken in another tackle. So a third ball up, still at centre wing, broadcast side of the ground. Geelong ahead by 27 points in this final term. Saturday afternoon footy on ABC Sport. Powell gets a hand pass away, taken by Close. Blitzar's in a battle with Powell. Powell can grab it, almost pull it in. And Blitzar's gets in front of him, and then he pulls it in, and it'll be a ball up right in front of the interchange gates as Powell gets up, playing his first game for the season for the Suns.
I'm only going to watch on TV what we're watching, but they're feeling his ribs and his chest, so I don't think there's anything about head there. With Geelong, we've got nothing to worry about.
And he did jog off, which was good for Anderson once he was able to get off with the trainers and get up.
Yeah. One thing's for sure, he's going to be a very, very sore player tomorrow.
Well, he's going to learn also that when you're going to get bumped, you actually put, it's these days, because bumping is so rare, they struggle. I don't struggle with it, but I'm struggling for them that they just don't know how to worry about getting bumped.
Lex Pesher on the boundary.
Yeah, but he looked like he was in better spirits. Sometimes when players come off, they put their head down. So he was up and about still watching the game. I think that's a good sign too.
Yeah.
Surely Chris Scott would be thinking we're 27 points up. Tom, you don't have to, that's Tom Stewart, you don't have to attack every contest like that, but he probably knows only one way. Of course, the 5-time All-Australian Tom Stewart has a chance for the Suns. They drive it inside 50, but that man on cue, Tom Stewart, was waiting for the Bailey Humphreys kick, and he takes the intercepting mark for the Cats. Switches it to Connor O'Sullivan, who marks in the right back pocket. Geelong by 27 points. Time on the final term. Back to Tom Stewart.
I don't know who's doing the votes, but I'm just saying, look, Stewart's gets so many cheap, not cheap, very good smart runs, but they're hardly earned. This will come straight back to where he is anyway.
So it is Humphrey who spirals a kick deep inside forward 50 for the Suns. O'Sullivan gets a tap onto it and carries it through for a minor score for the Suns. It's 26 points. Geelong's advantage. Tom Stewart with the footy gets a big cheer as he kicks it in for the Cats.
So Geelong have kicked 5 goals, 3 after half-time, and the Suns have managed, 2 goals, 2.
Yeah, we say that's not a domination on the scoreboard, but they've dominated the play.
Yeah.
They really have. They've bashed them up, really. They've just been too strong at the ball. They've been too strong in the air. Their use of the football is far superior. This is a really disappointing game for Damien Hardwick's side.
If anything, the scoreboard doesn't really reflect, as you said, the system and the dominance in which Geelong have had around the ground. And it hasn't been a game in which Jeremy Cameron or Patrick Dangerfield have started. It's been Tyson Stengel with 4 goals. And Geelong have led from go to woe, and apart from the Suns drawing level in the third quarter, they've had this game under control. Witts tries to get a hand pass clear for the Suns. Unable to break clear as bottom of the pack. Humphrey can't get out.
You're good on the computer. How many ball-ups we had?
Okay, let me try and find that one. You call the play, Loz.
Well, it's just unbelievable, really, how many times. Is it that wet?
Crowd goes inside 50. The mark will be taken by David Swallow. We might send that question, Mick, to the back of the box.
Well, it's just interesting that we're seeing so many, not a lot of possessions.
You're right. A lot of stoppage.
Yeah, a lot of stoppage.
So David Swallow will line up for this shot. He kicks from 45 metres out. It's across the face for a minor score. That means the margin for Geelong is just cut back to 25 points with that behind as we head down to Alexia Pesce on the boundary.
Noah Anderson has just headed down into the rooms. You imagine it's for that HIA test. Just being cautious, I suppose, at this point.
Thanks, Lex. So Noah Anderson comes off the ground going down to the rooms, and Geelong ahead by 25.
There's the ball at half back. Chance for the Geelong side to try and break clear through Max Holmes. Dempsey over his shoulder. Out to Graham Myers. Joel's teaching me all sorts of things today. So 126 stoppages, Mick. You asked the question. It was 72 at half time. Yeah, the AFL average is around 98.
Yeah, it just seems to be a lot. And it's not only because of the weather. We play in wet weather. It's because the Geelong want to, if they can't get it, they'll just bring the ball straight in close and they will try to dominate it with the physicality. There we are, 3v1.
Which wins down
the again. There's 127, and it's because if Geelong can't break free, they will not give the ball up. Whereas if Gold Coast can't break free, they give the ball up at this stage. It's no longer learning anymore. They're going to start to grow up a bit, I reckon, Gold Coast.
Mick Malthouse and Kez Peterson, your experts. Matt Clinch and Lauren Borden calling the action. Lex Pesce will head down to the Geelong rooms at full time. Blitzouts trying to knock it out for the Cats. Out towards Mark O'Connor. Kick is ricocheted into Matt Rowell, who gathers one way then the other. Hand pass to Ainsworth. Corralled in the end by Dempsey, and as a result, the hand pass to Powell was loose. They haven't handled the pressure of the Suns tonight, both in their system and their execution.
Conversely, and Mick's right, Geelong like to play from stoppage. In the last 5 weeks, they've scored 49 points on average from stoppage, so it's a big score source for them. I don't think it'd be that many tonight, but just given the low score, but they enjoy playing that in-tight game and trying to get it on the outside.
If they mark this, it'd be a miracle.
Swallow goes inside 50. There is no mark. It falls to the turf of Cardinia Park.
So we don't need Pope Francis.
Okay. Well, there we go. The train comes past South Geelong Station. That's what we're hearing.
I'm glad you knew that, Loz. I had no idea what that was.
The V-line may be heading back to Melbourne tonight. As the ball's tossed back in, Blitzarves takes it, hand passes it away to Dempsey. He's got it just close to the boundary line, curls it back in towards Cameron, who's had Andrew on him for most of the day, one-on-one. And it's a free kick to Cameron for the way he worked the Geelong forward off the footy, kicks towards O'Sullivan. He can't take the mark, comes to close. He just shoves the kick inside 50 hurriedly. Joel Jeffrey takes the footy, sells some candy to close, and then moves the ball across to Fiorini, who hand passes it to Jeffrey, who then kicks right down the line. And it's Guthrie who can take it for the Cats. Kicks towards Stewart, who has the footy. He's wrapped up in a tackle, not going anywhere. It's Ainsworth doing the tackling the sub. And we'll have a ball up, centre wing, just in front of the interchange benches. Geelong leading by 25 points. They've led all day, and they're holding on to a 25-point lead. 29 minutes played in this last term on ABC Sport.
As we move past half an hour in this final term, Witt's down to Fiorini, kicks up towards Holman, in a tangle with Mitch Duncan, and off hands it goes out of play. So Geelong take on the Bombers next Saturday in the twilight. They have the Brisbane Lions ahead of their bye. Well, the Gold Coast Suns will head to the bye after this loss to the Cats, with the Giants and the Demons on the other side. Still inside the 8, but 8 wins and 4 losses for Damien Hardwick's side. Having beaten Hawthorn in terms of the teams they've beaten in the top 8. Still a bit of work to be done. Blitzavs gathers for Geelong. Hand pass to Mitch Duncan, to Grime Myers. Outside the boot up towards Ted Closey. Coming the other direction was Will Powell, and he sees it out of play for a boundary throw-in.
Duncan's been good since coming on, starting as a sub. He's up to 17 touches. He's had 7 marks. Almost 400 metres gained. He's been a real live wire for Geelong off the half-back line as part of that back 6 that has been as solid as.
Game 3, 102. He starts on the bench as the sub, but came in the second quarter after an ankle injury to Shannon Neal. Swallow chases after the footy close to the boundary line. He's taken over for another boundary throw-in. And Leo Lombard, the youngster in just his second game of footy, was subbed off for Ben Ainsworth for the Suns. So it's been a tough game out there for the Suns, looking to make a mark in an away game against a tough opposition and really stamp their mark on the competition as a contender when they take on Geelong, who's always thereabouts. The ball tossed back in, Blitzars runs after it, tries to bounce it back to him. He can't quite take it. Sam Closey has a go. It comes back to Blitzars. He puts the kick on his boot. Then Collins tries to gather it. Tapped away. It comes back to Collins. And he'll push it down the line. Atkins had front position. He can just tap it down. Holman tries. It's smart from O'Connor to push it along the boundary line. To Closey. Back to Atkins. Hand pass across to Blitzars. He puts it on the boot this time. And it's Collins just tracking back. Is able to take the mark and kick it across to Jeffrey, who'll mark it centre half back for the Suns. They're trailing by 25 points. Late stages of this round 13 contest.
Into the middle of the ground with a hand pass from Dan Rioli. Releases Jeffrey. Drives a wobbly kick inside 50. Jack Henry's there. Tom Stewart was all on his own, but Henry is up to the task and hugs the mark to his chest.
I thought he tried to do it tall.
Yep.
Honestly, thought he did it. Well, he had one before and it went okay, but they're a risky kick, let's face it.
Feels like the Suns are trying to roll 0-0 or 0-0 at this stage, the way it's gone. Blitzavs at half-back. Hand pass was chopped off in the end by Sam Closey. Gets a hand pass forward to Rao. Drives it inside 50 in the end. Jack Henry couldn't get a fly at it. It lands in front of Connor O'Sullivan. It's rushed through by Jack Henry for a minor score. Might have been a boot in there from Ben Long as it ricocheted off Jack Henry for a minor score. It's a 25-point lead Geelong's way as we tick past 33 minutes gone in the final term.
33 minutes. We've had how many goals scored? We've had 4 goals scored.
Yeah, and the injury stoppage for Noah Anderson.
That's right. No, yes.
Which has just pushed it out a little bit.
Yeah, spot on.
The last 4 scores to the Gold Coast, all behinds as well. As Geelong slowly bringing the footy. To Koning with the ball, left half back. Gets plenty on the kick, and it's Ted Closey's little mark.
Yeah, on his chest, on his own.
Yeah.
Up the line. So how does that work?
Very easily ahead of Swallow. Closey the late in for Bailey Smith today, and still without their star who's leading the coaches' votes. It's 24 points, Geelong's advantage as Guthrie rises high to take the mark over Rao. And he'll go back now and take his time to hold on to this kick. It was a good leap from Guthrie. One leg over Rao as a step ladder. He puts the kick out close to the boundary line. It's one bounce next to Blitzarves, and he's happy to just see that bounce over the boundary line for a throw-in. It's half forward for the Cats. They're leading 9-7-61. The Suns 5-7-37.
Patrick Dangerfield to the bench. His night is done. It's been a quiet afternoon for him. Quiet afternoon for Jeremy Cameron. 7 disposals for Dangerfield, 6 for Cameron. As from the throw-in, it spills out the way of Max Holmes. He's been red hot tonight. Collins gathers. He's tackled by Max Holmes. Possession 39 so far for him. Leading possession getter on the ground. With 26 the next cat, Grime Myers. And 25 for Joel Jeffrey. Ball spills out the way of Holmes. Did he get a disposal away there? Holman picks it up. Hand pass to Fiorini. Flicks a hand pass forward to Toot Miller. Trying to cut around one way and then the other. Tom Atkins cuts back on his right. Kicks up towards Dan Rioli, who juggles the mark. Hand pass inboard to Matt Rao. Between wing and half forward, he slips over. Hand pass back down to Dan Rioli. Has to get a hand pass over his shoulder. Inboard. Bounces off Fiorini towards Toot Miller. Kicks off the outside of the boot. And Zach Guthrie hugs the mark for Geelong. At a left half back. Geelong leading by 24 points. As Guthrie will take his full time. And that might just about do us as Guthrie kicks long down the wing. No Bailey Smith, no worries as Geelong put on a home masterclass against the Suns to win by 24 points. The Cats move inside the AFL's top 4.
We are Geelong, the greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played, at home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dark, down at Gardenia Park.
Geelong 9-7-61 defeat the Gold Coast Suns 5-7-37 in front of 29,502 fans. The Cats led by 12 points at quarter time, by 7 at half time, by 18 at three-quarter time. The Suns drew level in the third quarter and they kicked 3 goals to 1 in the final term to run out winners by 24 points to move into the top 4.
So stand up and fight, remember our tradition. Stand up and fight, it's always our ambition. Throughout the game to fight with all our might, because we're the mighty blue and white. And when the ball is bounced to the final bell, stand up and fight like hell.
For the winners, Tyson Stengel put in 4 goals. His career best is 5, but his best effort of season 2025. Individuals to Humphreys, Dempsey, Atkins, Myers and Close. While for the Gold Coast Suns, individual goals to Walter, Rao, Humphreys, Long and Ben King. The Cats winners by 24 points as they move into the AFL's top 4, 9 wins and 4 losses. While for the Gold Coast Suns, there's a chance that they weren't quite up to the same level as the Cats. They're yet to taste success here in Gardenia Park in their 8 appearances against Geelong. The thoughts of Mick Moldhouse and Karen Peterson with you on ABC Sport.
Well, it was fairly predictable after the start. The Cats just looked bigger and stronger. And I think I'm over, and I'm sure Damien Hardwick is. He's over the fact that this is a young side. This is a growing side. They've been in the competition well and truly long enough. They've got some very, very good, talented players. They fell short by 80 possessions. 80 possessions without probably the Brownlow favourite, playing today. They fell short with Cameron not kicking a goal. I can't remember how many times we've said Cameron didn't kick a goal. They fell short with a side that's only kicked 9 goals to win it, and yet they still weren't able to demonstrate that we can take them seriously as a Final 8 side. So I would say that all up, I can be expecting a really good, tight contest, regardless of the conditions. It was tight, but when it was bullied, Geelong were just bigger, stronger, more direct, cleaner hands, and set up opportunities. How many more inside 50s? Inside 50s, 51 to 55. So there wasn't a lot in it. So the 51 that went inside the Gold Coast line, I would love to be able to sit down with the player group and say, well, look, this is how it's gone in. How come Stewart's marked it, Henry's marked it, De Koning has punched the ball clear, Guthrie's run the ball out, and where were we? And well, we didn't have an extra play down there, and when we did have extra plays down there, we actually made Geelong work for their. We got goals, and we actually made Geelong work for this. And for some reason, they just keep dropping off this extra player. Geelong. How many times did we say, Matt called it, and Lauren called it? Oh, Stewart's going to mark this by himself.
Henry was the other one.
Henry's going to punch the ball clear. He's totally clear. Stanley did well in the ruck against Witts. Witts is starting to slow down a bit now. He's a bloke that's had a lot of injuries, a big man. I had him at Collingwood. He's an outstanding young man, but he's starting to show wear and tear. King didn't get anywhere near it. I'm not trying to work out how many possessions he had. I don't necessarily blame him. I think the ball, he's virtually had to beat two players nearly every time. He's had 4 kicks.
4 and 1 goal.
4 and 1 goal, and he had to. He virtually had to beat two players every time. And I think you call at one stage, Matt, there was only 2 marks inside the front 50. It wouldn't have gone much further than that. You don't win games of football unless you can comprehensively put pressure on the back line by taking marks. That keeps them active. That keeps them interested in what you're doing. If you don't mark it, they please themselves. They spoil, they run, and quite frankly, it's probably predictable, which is a shame in many respects.
So it was 4 inside 50s for the Gold Coast Suns to 10 for Geelong. He took just the 1 mark, Ben King, and it was up there high on half forward. So he had a tough night, as Mick made mention of. Kez, what was your key takeaways from the Cats? 24-point win.
Oh, look, the Cats just roll on, don't they? I mean, they were challenged early in that second quarter. They were pretty well dominated in the territory battle coming out of quarter time. And unfortunately for Gold Coast, they just weren't able to capitalise. And we've talked at length about their inability to score tonight. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think 2 of their 5 goals came from 50-metre penalties as well. So it wasn't as if they were able to even generate great ball movement that resulted in those 5 goals. So look, the Cats are doing what the Cats do, which is they go about their business, they do it quietly, and all of a sudden they find themselves inside the top 4. I don't know how many years in a row that's been now that just seems to be the way that it goes. And I think the thing that the Gold Coast will come away from tonight and talk about is you don't want to be beaten by what you know. And what you know about Geelong is they're so strong with the way that they set up behind the ball. And Mick's already highlighted the work of Stewart and Henry in particular tonight, but it was Duncan who came in. It's Zach Guthrie who plays off the back line as well. They're just able to generate, from their stability, the way that they set up, they're able to generate so much run and carry and give it to the likes of Max Holmes and Brian Myers, who I'm sure we'll get to talk about Max Holmes. We probably talked about him enough already tonight, but he was just outstanding, and there was just no one from the Gold Coast that was able to get anywhere near him, which is a real concern moving forward. And I made the point that they don't even have Bailey Smith out there. So imagine if they had Smith and Holmes running around in that midfield tonight. I think they would have absolutely piled on the pain. I do just want to highlight the game of Tom Atkins as well. He went head-to-head with Rao for probably 90% of the night. Him and O'Connor tended to do a really good job through that midfield of being able to tag Rao. And I mean, Anderson obviously went off late, but he was pretty much didn't have a lot of impact on the game. But you mentioned Ben King, and he had 1 mark. He was really frustrated by the way that Geelong played him, and it was essentially either Henry or Stewart who sat in front of him for most of the night. And the Gold Coast just didn't change the way that they were entering the forward 50. They kept sitting it on either his head or Long's head, who didn't have a particularly good night either. I think he finished 1 goal, 2 and 8 touches, but for the most part didn't really have a big impact on the game. So I think for the Gold Coast, they'll walk away and go, we got beaten by what we knew. And I think for Geelong, they'll walk away pretty satisfied with the way that the game played out tonight. Good teams just find a way to win in pretty ordinary conditions. We know how well they play down here at Cardinia Park, given the size of the ground. Mick, you mentioned a couple of times that cigar shape, but they just seem to play it so well, taking the ball off the line. They'll be really satisfied with that off the back of, again, another gritty win against West Coast last week, where they had to travel to come back home and to put together a performance against, up until this point, a really powerful side in the Gold Coast, the way that they've gone about it for the first half of the year, but that they've certainly stumbled, and there's a bit to be concerned about for Gold Coast, I think, tonight, as we've mentioned.
So you touched on Max Holmes, 40 disposals, which is a career high for him, with no Bailey Smith this afternoon with hamstring tightness. He had 10 clearances, 7 inside 50s, 861 metres gained. It's just the 2 behinds, which was the only blemish on his day at the office. But as Patrick Dangerfield leads the Cats off the field, a day in which Dangerfield himself had just the 7 disposals. Jeremy Cameron had 6 disposals and managed just 1 behind. It was a pretty good effort from the Cats, showing their depth and their system. And once more stand up against a side who's in the top 8 but not in the top 4 like Geelong at the moment.
Yeah, it is. There's still a lot of... I still think there's holes in Geelong's side. And I know that's... Smith didn't play. We understand that. I'm not convinced that a side that wants to win a premiership, and I know this is a big statement, has to work September play. Damien Hardwick knows how to play September play with Richmond. This is not Richmond. This is a different side. And when you come up and you just said this, if that's an all-time high for Holmes, you can't allow a player when they've already lost the playmaker of the year. You're pretty close to him and Dacos. Then you don't just walk away going, well, they're one shot now. Now we're going to attack him with our 3. There's got to be a system to go, well, look, we are new boys to the top 4. Now we're top 5. We haven't been there before. We're playing against a side that is a big, strong, powerful side. How do we stop them cold? Now we've already stopped. You look at it. No, stop Cameron. You've got this.
Let's join the song with Lex Pesce, and we'll come back. Who led all the kids into the song, Lex? Was that Patrick Dangerfield, or who's responsible for that?
It certainly was Patrick Dangerfield, and I think some of them may need to learn the words, but nonetheless, very, very cute indeed.
There's more kids than players.
There was more kids than players.
And do we think they're all kids of the players? Is that the go, or are they just kids who happen to be in the change rooms?
A bit of both, I reckon, at this point. Definitely some of the players' kids, obviously, but I saw Ollie Dempsey come off and go to a couple of kids, and I'm not sure that he's a dad just yet, so he seemed to be king of the kids as well. So maybe family and friends, plenty of family and friends have kids in here. It's much warmer, so they're having a great time.
The king of the kids, the Cats winners by 24 points. Sorry, Mick, continue with your thoughts.
No. Well, yeah, that's good to see with the kids. Maybe it's something to do with school holidays, who knows. But you have to have a tagger. The best sides will sit someone on you through a final series, and you've got to be ready to see one of your key players either reduced, taken out, or has to struggle for his possessions. All the better sides do it, and this is no exception. You may well throw up Anderson, Miller and Rail and go, well, look, there's our top 3, and we've got some other players that can go in there. But if they're not quick enough, and let's face facts about this side, they haven't got great leg speed through the middle at all. And you put Witts in there, that slows them up even further as a ruckman. Geelong have got speed in there. So what do? You've got to take speed out.
Let's come back to that. Back to Lex Pesce in the rooms.
Guys, Tom Atkins is with me. Tom, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. Great win, another one in the books at Cardinia Park. I want to ask you, Bailey Smith's omission to before the game, it's from the Cats playbook to bring someone out early. He did seem to have a bit of a hamstring issue the last game. Was that something you guys knew all week?
Yeah, well, he didn't train all week, and like we're lucky at this club. They give us till the very last chance to get our bodies right and see if we can play. And I actually found out about it when I came in. He'd just done his prep, tried to get up, and he said he wasn't good. So that's fine. Just want him to get ready for next week or the week after, whenever it is. And we played a good team game in the midfield tonight. We had 6 or 7 guys roll through there, and while he was obviously a big missing piece for us, I feel like we covered for him well.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess going into this game, you would have known what the Suns' midfield can produce. You were well on top of them tonight. What was the plan heading into this game with people like Matt Rowell and Touk Miller in there?
Yeah, it was just to try and take away their strengths. Those guys they're 3, the elite players of the comp. So we took a real team approach. As I said, 6 or 7 guys rolling through, all of us playing a role. Sometimes we had to chop and change. Ted Closey did a great job on Rowley when he was on. And I thought Mez was amazing on Anderson, and then Oshin on Touk as well. So, we just wanted to try and take away their strengths, and then, I felt like we were good in the contest all night.
With Jeremy Cameron's influence limited tonight, Tyson Stengel absolutely stepped up. Just a word on his game tonight?
Yeah, I'm shocking with that. I never know who kicks goals and, what he kicked for or something. So I love Tyson. It's been spoken about his defensive efforts throughout the week. I think that's the most impressive thing for me. It's he's creating opportunities for other people up forward. That's probably why he hasn't had the reward that he's had, but it's good for him tonight to get on the scoreboard.
Karen Peterson and Mick Malthouse, up to you.
Tom, don't tell me you don't count goals. What are your 2?
Me? I only kicked 1. Did I kick 2?
You gave a hand pass to Myers who kicked the second.
Oh, okay. So you're not selfish. Good.
Oh, I thought you were trying to trick me there.
No, I wasn't. I'd probably put it in the book because I saw you running rate and goal or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So pre-planned. So before the game starts, do you know who you're going to take and the roll around that they have? As you mentioned, they've got 3 players in there, not overly quick, but all ball getters. So who decides who you? Well, I know that you step through the week, but if they roll someone out quickly out of the middle, you don't have to go with them. Who do you step over onto?
So I think I was the clear matchup for Rowell in sort of at the face of the rucks. That's what Rowley likes to do. And then, as I mentioned before, O'Sheen was on Took most of the night, and then Mark O'Connor took Anderson, who I thought had a great game. Mez, like he was able to get his hands on the footy as well as quelling Anderson's influence. So, but in saying that, Ted, when he came on, and sometimes you don't have the personnel in there, so we just adapted really well tonight, I thought, and we all understood what was required and what each other's role was at the stoppage, and I feel like we played a really good team game in the midfield. There was, we didn't have any. Obviously, Max had 40. That's Max doing Max things, but I feel like the rest of us all contributed equally. Yeah,
it might surprise you. Yet clearances were 50-50, as in they were 50-50, not only 50-50, but 50-50 each and 50 each. But it just seems you guys were able to clear the ball. The strength around the ball was so evident. I just thought that. I'm not going to say they're small boys and they're not a young club anymore, but you seem to belt them up in close. And the way that you blokes were able to move the ball outside was so impressive. The scoreboard says 9 goals. It's not a massive win, but nonetheless, you were able to clear the ball. Were you surprised that they just didn't have that extra bit of spark about them?
Oh, no. I don't. Yeah, I don't know if they didn't have the spark. I feel like we just rose to their level.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, close it down quick.
Yeah, like they're elite. They're one of the best midfields in the comp. And I feel like if we were able to break even with them, then that's a win for us. And, especially obviously losing Bailey. But, I just feel like we all came and we were clear on our roles and we were able to execute our roles. And that, like, I'm big on that. I'm big on team contribution and all of us, helping each other get the win.
Tom, congratulations. It's Karen Peters up here. Just on your own game and obviously the team performance as well. The one thing I think that really impressed me for particularly that midfield, and you keep mentioning how the role that you played within that, but it was just the speed that you guys were able to break away from the contest that I thought got you on top, particularly in that sort of second half. Is that something that you guys really focused on going into the game, knowing that you probably had the leg speed on the outside to get them by the end?
No, not really, to be honest. I feel like they're not super slow. Took's pretty quick, I would have thought, and Rowley's got a good first 10 on him. So I just thought we were able to match him in the contest, at times beat him in the contest, and then from there, that's when our offensive strengths can flourish. Like if we can defend well, match him in the contest, then get the ball to blokes like Max and Brian and those guys who sort of sit on the outside, then we're doing our job as mids.
We talked a lot throughout the call about the stability of the back six. There's obviously a number of guys that rolled through there tonight. Tom Stewart, Jack Henry. It's a big strength of Geelong's. Everyone knows it, yet it still seems to work for you guys nearly every week. Just the ability for that group to set up the way it does, giving the midfielders the advantage, getting on the outside and really generating your offence. Just a word on their game tonight.
Yeah, I think it's been really helpful having Stewie back. He's obviously one of our leaders at the club, and but just his composure behind the ball, his ability to set everyone up, and that group. We've got some younger guys, Lawson and Sully, but now they've sort of played 20, 25 games together, so we're really starting to gel. It's nice to know that even if you do lose a clearance, if you can put enough pressure on it, then we'll have the setup behind it to hopefully turn it over.
The kids down there are nearly taking over the change rooms. I'm wondering, that was a Dangerfield. I think he was the one who led him into that. Have you got any down there? How many kids can you count just quickly in the frame?
I had no idea what was going on there. I don't know where they all came from. They're definitely not kids of players.
All right.
And my kid is at home sound asleep, hopefully. But he's only 10 months, so... I don't know what was going on there. But what an experience for him. It'd be epic if I was that age.
Absolutely. Tom, as we let you go, you're inside the top 4, 9 wins and 4 losses. How do you feel like you're tracking as you sort of move towards the halfway mark of the season?
Yeah, not too bad. We've been in every game, and that's probably the most pleasing thing for me. the games that we've lost, we lost to Brisbane. I feel like we could have won that. We lost to Carlton. I feel like we could have won that. So GWS as well. So that's probably the most pleasing thing. We're able to stay in the contest, and look, we've got plenty to work on, and I think we all understand that. And it's good. You have a coach like Scotty. It's always forward thinking. How can we get better? And then, if we just keep doing that every week, then look forward to the end of the year.
Absolutely. We appreciate your time tonight. See you against the Bombers next Saturday.
Alrighty, thanks guys.
Tom Atkins joining us from the Geelong Rooms, winners by 24 points, 9-7-61 to the Suns 5-7-37. He was one of the goal scorers. Of course, Geelong kicked 5 goals to 2 after half-time. The Suns held goalless in the opening quarter. The Cats led by 12 points at quarter time, by 7 at half-time. The Suns drew level in the third quarter but never took the lead throughout the match, and eventually Geelong run out winners by 24 points in front of 29,502 fans. Good to hear from Tom, always very balanced, very disciplined, and no surprise he referred to the various roles, which was always interesting. Ted Closey at times doing the job on Matt Rao, Mark O'Connor at times going to Noah Anderson, and O'Shea Mullen doing the job as well on Toot Miller.
Well, what does that tell you? What does it tell you about Geelong over the journey of say, Chris Scott? They've always gone in with players that can play roles.
Yep.
And play today's football for September. I get so frustrated with clubs that play brilliantly, high scoring, great attacking. They get to the finals, they go, right, now we're in finals. Oh, guess what? Look who we're playing. We might have to change this and change that. You've got to practice what is going to be September. And again, I am certainly not coaching Gold Coast, but they've got to seriously consider having and finding someone in there, whether it be a Holman or someone who's got the tenacity, the strength, the mindset to go, right, Holmes is my man. Holmes is going to get the job, and I'm going to be at him all day. He might still get his 40, but let me tell you, they're going to be up in the air all over the place. Because that then reduces the effectiveness. That's a 4-goal win. A 4-goal win doesn't sound much on this ground, but when the opposition only kicked 5, we'll put it this way, the percentages are flipped. That's how much a game like this can cause by trailing when the final scoring goes 4 goals compared to what you were before. You're not kicking 13 and the opposition 17. This is a 9-5. They've flipped over. All of a sudden now, Gold Coast, probably when they play Essendon at the end of the year, they may have to win that to make the 8.
Yeah, yep.
That's how desperate these games are, and you've got to find... Geelong, to me, have got a very well-balanced side, and they have had. It's experienced. They've got some young kids coming through. They've got some from all of a sudden someone jumps up and they play their role. At the moment, you just don't see that with Gold Coast. There's something missing from the setup. Now, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's, I know he's very critical of them when they're away. He reckons they play a little bit inward, just don't allow themselves to play the same sort of maturity they do at home. But I'm sure Damien Hardwick, with his experience, will find something and maybe learn more today than what he has over the last month.
The votes in the ABC Football of the Year still to come from Mick Malthouse. So the Suns have beaten Hawthorn and Adelaide for sides inside the top 8. The losses have come against Brisbane, Fremantle and Geelong. What were your takeaways, Kez, from the Suns? And the question from Rich about Damien Hardwick. He'd played here 3 times as the coach of the Tigers, 2010, 12 and 17. So 4 losses for him as the coach of either the Tigers or the Gold Coast Suns. But, the record of having lost their last 9 here at Kardinia Park, 8 against Geelong, 1 against the Bombers, is sort of flattered because they hadn't played here really since 2021.
Yeah, look, I don't know how much you make of that. I mean, there's got to be something in it. They haven't won here, but it's a very different looking team this year than what it's been in the past. So I'm not sure how much the players would have paid attention to that coming into the game. I think that it's going to be a real test for Gold Coast in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So they've got the bye, which is, it's come at a good time, I think, for them. They're going to have to really reset and review the last fortnight and work out specifically, probably more from this game than what they would have last week, and maybe try and find something different that they can bring, because then they have a pretty horrid run. They've got the Giants, Melbourne, Essendon, Collingwood, Adelaide, Brisbane as their next run of games. They could go 0-6 if they play the way that they did tonight off the back of those games. So they're going to have to go away. They're going to have to put some work in. They're going to have to find something, whether it's a tagging option. They come up against the Giants. There's some pretty prolific midfielders that are playing, running around for the Giants at the moment, who are well on their way to another finals campaign. Melbourne is a game that, well, depending on which Melbourne team shows up, similar. They've got the Petrarcas and the Vineys of the world. If Viney gets back by that stage, that could really go to town on them. So, and then similar for the teams that are coming, probably the Collingwood, Adelaide, Brisbane trio is going to be really interesting. And Mick, you've talked a lot about the maturity of this group, and we both would have liked to have seen probably a higher level of maturity, or an expected higher level of maturity. They need to put some real work in over that next 6-7 weeks.
I think mathematically, I love, this is one area I do like maths. They've got to win 13 games. Yep. That gives them, they need to win 50% of their remaining matches, which I think will probably get them in.
And we need to get out. Rapid fire, 3, 2, 1 for the ABC Football of the Year.
Atkins 1, as in not 3, but 1. Yep. 2 to Stengel, he was outstanding. And Holmes he could have got the 3 votes, 3, 2 and the 1. But so Holmes gets the top votes, Stengel 2 and Atkins 1.
3 to Holmes, 2 to Stengel, 1 to Tom Atkins. Thanks, Mick. Thank you, Kaz. Good luck.
Thanks, team.
Yes,
you and Joel with your arrival to the family. Thanks to Loz Borden. Thanks to Lex Pesce. To Jules at the back of the box and Adam back at base. The Cats too strong here at Cardinia Park, winners by 24 points. We now take you to Canberra with our commentary team as the Giants take on Port Adelaide. Enjoy the rest of your night on ABC Sport.
Ben Cameron and Corbin Middlemash from ABC Sport here.
Alongside Paul Roos, Brett Delidio and Poppy Penny, we bring you all the latest AFL news from both on and off the field on the ABC AFL Daily podcast.
You can hear it all on the ABC Listen app.
Up to steady and pull the trigger.
Get ABC AFL Daily Podcast. It's your daily footy conversation. Find it on the ABC Listen app.